What's up, everybody? Today we're back with another How Viable is Faith, and today we're going to be playing Dark Souls 3. I've never actually played Dark Souls 3, but I have looked up videos on the internet, so I'm not entirely new. So there are points in the game that I have already been spoilered on. I've already seen it, so it's not going to take me fully by surprise. But you already know we gotta bring back Johnny Sins to start nailing these enemies. I also tried to do something with music, with the dialogue of the GS3 intro like I've done with the other games. But the talking and the music is just way too loud, and I can't find any way to separate them, because when I go to DS3 system and I lower the music all the way down to 0, it just prevents any dialogue from happening. So I'm sorry about that. I hope the intro montage was good enough. And before we start, I actually have a poll running on my community for if you want me to do Bloodborne Bloodtinge next or Elden Ring Faith next. I also have a comment that's going to say when I'm going to be streaming next time, and whatever wins that poll is the game that I'm going to be streaming from then on. But with all that out of the way, let's start my first ever playthrough, and let's see if Faith is viable in Dark Souls 3. If this was my first Dark Souls 3 let's play, it is, but I think if I wasn't doing this challenge I would have went Knight, but for this Faith build we're gonna go with Cleric. And again, I try to make Johnny look as close to him as possible. I think I have what I'm looking for. Again, I'm not too good at this. Bro's been mewing. But after all that, let's finally get into some Dark Souls 3. I test out my movement and see that I also have a charged heavy attack. I also try the first miracle of the run, Force. It's pretty much the same as the other times we've seen it in the Souls series, just forcing enemies around you to just move out of the way. We get a new item, the Ashen Estus Flask, which is used to refill our FP bar, which we use to cast miracles or use skills on our weapons. I just go around killing these low level enemies until we get to this giant crystal lizard, and he does massive damage, but I do have some confidence. Nah, this about to be easy. And he gets us down to 0 Estus, but eventually we stagger him, and for the first attempt, we got him. We rest at the bonfire, and I used the heal miracle of this game for the first time. Heal miracles return to actually scaling off of your chime, and this first one is multiplied by 300 by the spell buff on whatever you're using. And for now, it's pretty much healing most of our health bar. We go on and get some Titanite shards and fight the first boss of the run, Yhorm's Gundyr. Did I say it right? I hope I did. Dark Souls 3 is definitely much faster compared to its predecessor, but I think already I got the timing down a little well, until he decides to just pull out this absolute new disease on us. He thought he had me in a corner and he pounces on us, but we take care of him after that, and there we go. For the first boss, we took him out. First attempt, baby. After that, I try to force this enemy off the ledge, but I see what happens when you don't have enough FP.
You need to leave!
But we make it to this game's Firelink Shrine and talk to the Firekeeper.
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one. I'm a firekeeper. I tend to the flame, and tend to thee.
And after that, we're finally able to level up our stats. Hey yo, Andre's in this game? Your boy Andre is back, and he's able to upgrade our weapons again, but I only have one Titanite, so we're broke. But I also find out they have chimes and talismans in this game, and they both do something different. Talismans are usually a bit weaker, but have a skill that allow you to add poise to any miracle that you start to cast, making it very difficult to break you out of using the miracle once you start using that skill. Chimes usually offer a bit more in terms of spell buff, but their skill Gentle Prayer only offers you 360 HP over 60 seconds. This is actually very efficient healing, especially early game. It's very cheap, but this is also a weapon buff, so if you switch away from this, it'll actually cancel it out. So you can either use the Chime, which does more damage, or the Talismans, which will allow you to poise through certain enemy hits and allow you to actually get some miracles off that you probably wouldn't have. We go outside, and I've seen this tree jump before, so I see if I can replicate it. I'm going back to my old strategy. We're keeping this up for another couple minutes. If it doesn't work, we're leaving. Yo! Let's get it! Once inside, we get an Estus shard, and in this chest, we get the covetous silver serpent ring, which will help so much with early soul gains. There's also a handmaiden here that'll act as our first merchant throughout the game. And we reallocate our flasks to have 4 Estus and 1 Ashen. And this one enemy apparently is very difficult for many new players, but we just force him off very easily. Actually, one of the first times I've seen this dude is see a streamer that I watch get decimated by him.
Okay, can you do that again, like...
But once we're done with that, we finally teleport to the high wall of Lothric. Lothric looks so beautiful, man. I see a fucking dragon on the left path, so I decide to go to the right. Our first dog encounter, and it's nice to see that when you hit them, they have a good knockback. Thank God. I have to adjust to the speed of these enemies. Oh! And some of these enemies are just straight up bosses in disguise. I don't think I'm ever gonna understand this boss's moveset, especially after he knocks me off and hits me twice on the way down. Also, one of my first times using Gentle Prayer to gain some HP back. And I'm informed on my chat that he's actually weak to firebombs, and by weak, I mean he hates them. They get stunned for a bit, and I pretty much just unload all of my firebombs into them and then finally take the chance to kill him with the mace. That enemy dropped the Titanite shard, allowing us to upgrade our mace to +1, and with nowhere else to go, we go to the path of the dragon. The dragon is actually decaying, so we go behind him, you know, tickle that taint, fondle them gonads. We descend the high wall and are met with a bunch of undeads wielding fire arrow crossbows. We take out all of them and meet one of our first big boy enemies now. Alright, who wants this, bro? You gotta be kidding me. I'm surprised I dodged these first few attacks, and the mace is so good at staggering these enemies. We do get hit once, but with enough mace hits, he goes down. In another tower, there's another bonfire, and as we keep on going down the ladders, we meet a very important character who's currently trapped. I backtrack to see if we can go any other way. Okay, maybe that way isn't really perfect. We don't have to go there. Actually, it's not that bad. He has a delay before he even breathes fire on us. And we find our first mimic in the game. No. We've killed countless of these in the previous game, so it's not that hard, and we get a deep battle axe, mostly just to deal any dark damage in the future. This knight gets his revenge and claps our cheeks. We use perseverance on our mace to not get staggered while going through this fire to collect these items over here. I also drip ourselves out with Lothric knight armor. Bro, this armor is actually, look, you this dude on the ladder just wanted to come and say hi to his favorite YouTuber, you know, Vague Vigilante. Another one of these goddamn enemies turns into another pus of man, and I still don't know how to fight him without panicking. We just go with the old classic bombing route. And this crystal lizard drops a raw gem for us. And I swear this game knows I hate people with spears, so they put a knight with him. Thank God it's easy to go behind and clap them. He really wasn't that big of a deal. We go out and bait most of these enemies one at a time. And in this room, there's the Astor Straight Sword, which has a faith requirement, but doesn't scale off of faith. Like, are you for real? We get the key to free Grey Rat, and down here we maneuver around the middle so we don't have to fight that big enemy. After that, we leave, get ambushed, and then take an elevator all the way back up. And damn, this is actually a pretty good shortcut. We also have enough shards to level up our mace to +2. We go back and free this man.
You're no jailer, are you? Give this ring to old Loretta at the base of the high wall. Do your part and I'll do mine.
And seeing how big this person is, we can't stagger them that easily. But we also don't take that much damage in return. The real threat is when they do this damn helicopter move out here. And after killing them, we only get 300 souls. Like, for real? You look like you eat more than that. We go on down here and talk to this lady to give us our next key item.
Ah, the wait has been long, unkindled one. I am Emma, High Priestess of Lothric Castle. forge on through the Great Gate and raise this banner to proceed.
And this is what we need to progress. We do not f around with different colored enemies. No, we don't mess with him. He's rocking blue. And it's time to take on Vordt of the Boreal Valley. Because of our mace being +2, we're actually doing a lot of immense damage right off the bat. And he also has some good times to even get a charged attack in. Phase 2 is where it gets a little tricky, where he starts running my ass down like a dog needing his bone. And I don't know what he's about to do here, so I just decide to run away. But eventually I get cornered, panic, and then he ends us right there. Second attempt is going well, and we have the chime with gentle prayer, so we're also regenning in the middle of the fight. And right on phase 2, we get 2 nice charged heavy attacks. He swings at us with a heavy, but it just gives us ample time to just hit him 3 more times. And there we go. Vordt of the Valley is going down. We did die once during the fight, but I don't think that's too bad at all. We go back to try and handle this Blue Knight, but he uses the Blessed Weapon enchantment, and I'm going to learn right now what that does. He shouldn't be that hard because I faced Lothric Knights, but he's just very difficult for me. But eventually I just start to run away so I can get my health back, and I see why that's a bad idea. Because with Blessed Weapon, he will regain health just throughout time as long as he has that miracle going on his weapon. I should just be really offensive, because if I'm not, he just has more time to regain HP that I've chipped off of him. And eventually we do that and he goes down. And we get a nice view of the rest of the map before we head on out to Undead Settlement. Grey Rat is now back home safe and sound as our merchant, and I just appreciate how he asks you to stay safe.
Goodbye. And stay safe.
This gate opens, revealing a bunch of dogs killing all these hollows out here. But on the exact other side, we see someone begging for death.
Please, grant me death. Undo my shackles. Well, perhaps my calling lies elsewhere. Say, champion of Ash, how does the idea of taking me into your service strike you? I was once a sorcerer. Surely I can be of use.
This dude will eventually give you free levels for dying, but we're not going to do that yet, and we're going to head on into the Undead Settlement. There are these little imps, and I swear I know their attack patterns because of Elden Ring. We grab Loretta's bone and get ganked by these imps on over here. Short King status removed. We head onto the roof to kill these ones trying to snipe us. And I killed this enemy because I could lock onto him. I thought he was a threat, but my chat tells me no, I should have just left him alone. After murdering him, I return and reset the area so he can do the cutscene. Bang bus, here we go. And we just entered this area, and I think it's mostly just for a covenant.
Well, what's up? This pit is for hollows, not for the likes of you sane folk.
And we also give Grey Rat Loretta's bone.
Heavens, she was already dead. Thank you. I'm not surprised, though.
I'm sure you already know, but Yhorm will level you up 5 times if you die enough times. I want to see what's on this tree, so I decide to pick off the enemies around it until we get to the evangelist. And I've seen some red flags, but this fire grab is definitely one of them. But this leaves her very open, allowing us to kill her very easily. I actually get jump scared here. We fall down here and get a nice swig of Estus soup. I keep on going further, but I'm sniped by this miracle that does a lot of bleed damage. And they might cast miracles, but this woman is ready to throw the hands with me and deal a lot of damage. But this non-miracle is so slow I can get a heal miracle off as she's casting it. And unluckily for us, she doesn't drop that miracle. And I get invaded by Holy Knight Aldrich. I almost said Roderick, like from Dire of the Whippy Kids. I am not facing him right now, so I light the bonfire and run away.
I might as well fetch some weapons or treasure for you. Well, what do you say?
And we send out Grey Rat to collect some more items for us. And we go against this NPC who's good with using his skill and also has power within, making him a big threat. He also has warmth, which we try to take advantage of and keep him out of the radius so we get the healing, which is good so we can kill him while he's casting it, and he wants to get back in, but he can't, so then we end him. And this one enemy puts the work on me and then gives me bleed for I think the first time. And we talk to Ludlith, who will eventually allow us to transpose boss souls into weapons, rings, or spells and miracles. And in the next area, a giant's just lobbing these arrows at us, and I'm luckily able to make it to the house unscathed. I don't know how that one didn't hit me. A lot of the enemies follow me into this little house, but we're able to dodge literally all of them and just run past them. There's a boss somewhere in there, but I don't take that route yet. I'm not ready for him. And there's another one of these big enemies, but he's got like a pot with him, and he's got the moves on him. We get blown up and fall all the way down here so we can get a secret bonfire. It's probably not secret. I don't know. I think it's a secret. I found it. I can say what I want. Past this bridge, there's actually a miracle vendor nearby, so I decide to just bait the enemies and run across it. And I talk to this wonderful ray of sunshine.
No matter. Heed my words. If you've any sense, you go find a coffin to huddle up inside.
Behavior. So she's right over there behind this gate. And we make our way inside to this building where we see a very familiar face. It's you! Bro! How you doing?
Oh. Pardon me, I was absorbed in thought. I am Siegwart of Katarina.
We return back to this little tunnel. I thought it was bigger with a bunch of rats, and I just have to use Perseverance on my mace so we can just keep on hitting them without having to worry about poise, just so we can unlock this little shortcut. We go back and take the elevator Siegward just used to go on down, and this is one of the fastest enemies I've faced. His initial swing was so fast, and even his other regular attacks come out so quick and give me frostbite. And we open this door while he's away just so we can get the bonfire right outside, because I was not doing this without all my Estus flasks. Good thing we eventually get him, but he doesn't drop a weapon that we can use, sadly. And this is like a two-way elevator, so the one that we send down, there's actually another one above it that's also being sent down for us right now. We befriend the giant, so he'll stop launching these spears. They're large, they're pretty much just spears.
I help anytime.
And we jump off the elevator halfway so we can fight this big demon with Siegward on our side. Bro, I love this man.
No! You should have waited! Well, it's too late now. I, Siegward of the Knights of Katarina, fight by your side.
And Siegward also shows us a bit of emit force before we get it, which also makes the demon mad. But with our homie by our side, we eventually conquer him as well. This dude is such a G. He just took down a demon. He's like, alright, time to rest. Alright, pack it up, boy. Pack it up.
We unkindled must put our duties first. But, for the moment, we've a toast to make. Well, I'm going to have myself a little nap. The only thing to do, really, after a nice toast.
I don't think I've seen this synchronization before. They were on point. Me, 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 me. Me, me, me. After exploring most of the area, we get onto this roof so we can fall onto this tower. And we had to do a bit of parkour so we can get down, and we get the Chloranthy ring. It gives you 7 extra stamina per second of regeneration. And again, since miracles still use stamina, it's very much helpful to have these when we're just launching a bunch of them. We absolutely decimate our ankles. And since the giant isn't shooting at us anymore, we go back and collect a couple items along the way. And we pick up an important item, the Mortician's Ashes. And when we give it to the Handmaiden, she allows us to buy the Grave Key off of her. That allows us to open a door in the sewers that also has a statue of Velka here, which we don't need. And there are a couple skeletons down here, but luckily they're allergic to blunt damage. Collect some more shards. And we also shoot this corpse down so we can get a shield with the blessed effect on it. As long as you have the blessed weapon equipped, it'll regenerate 3 HP every tick, and the ticks are dependent on the weapon level itself. At level 0, it's every 4 seconds, and at level 10, it's every 1.5 seconds. Right now, it's actually pretty decent to have equipped to just passively regen HP, but it's not going to be regenerating that much HP, especially in the midst of combat, and as you level up your health even more, that 3 HP per tick really isn't that good, even if you get your weapon to plus 10. But this weapon will continue to do physical damage, but will now scale off of faith because of the blessed effect.
I am Irina of Karim. I came to this land so that I might be a firekeeper. Your touch has freed me from the darkness. You are a champion then? Oh, thank you, sweet champion. I shall take my vows. I, Irina of Karim, solemnly swear to serve you.
Irina goes back to Firelink Shrine, and not only can we buy new miracles off of her right now, we can also give her Braille tombs that'll allow her to teach us even more miracles in the future.
Oh, champion of Ash, welcome back. I was not meant to be a firekeeper, but I am honored to serve you beside the bonfire.
Time to run down what she actually has to offer, and first up is heal. We already know what that does, we started off with it. Next up is replenishment. It heals 5 HP per second for a minute, so you get 300 HP out of it. It's a much better form of regeneration in the midst of combat as opposed to gentle prayer, which we have to hold. And again, your HP bar is much smaller since it's the beginning, but you can even just ember up and you probably won't get that much HP out of it. Next up, we have Caressing Tears, which will heal any status effect, even cure you of maggots. Right now it's good for early game since I don't have any stacked up clumps right now. And we're about to head into Fair and Keep, which has a lot of poison. So yes, it's very useful right now, but later on when you can just buy a bunch of them or farm them, then it really loses its viability. But for now it's good. And finally, they brought back Homeward. It does the same thing, it just asks if you want to be sent back to Firelink Shrine or the last bonfire you rested at. You can use it with Unfaltering Prayer, so you can't get staggered out of using it, but really you don't need it. I think you just have enough Homeward bones throughout your journey, and eventually you can just farm them or buy more of them. And finally, we're ready to take on the Curse-Rotted Greatwood, who also has a couple enemies in this arena as well. We have to go and hit his sacks and pop them to actually deal damage to the guy. Luckily, he attacks the enemies around us too. Thank you! If you're too close, he'll teabag you, and dude's been saving that all of November, I swear. But continue to hit his weak points, and a little halfway into the fight, he destroys the arena and you fall down with him. And he grabs me, and I thought he was gonna put me somewhere a little inappropriate. And this dude wants me so bad, he's such a hater, he's willing to get up just to realize that he's still crippled. But hitting his baby makers one more time, and there we go. Got him out of here. He's also an optional boss, so we didn't have to do this, but it's actually very important to. But he drops the Transposing Kiln, which will allow us to transform boss souls into boss weapons or spells or miracles. or rings even. And just so I can put the visual up on the video, we one attempted that, so no deaths beforehand. And I noticed I can also buy the Saint's Ring off of Irina. It gives you one more attunement, and right now we only have 2, so it'll allow us to wield a bigger spell with also a small one, or just 3 small miracles. We also upgrade the Saint's Talisman. I'm gonna regret this a little later. And currently we don't really have any boss souls to transform into weapons or stuff that we really need. And I'm told I'm getting closer to Lightning Spear, so I decide to upgrade Faith so we can start using it once we get it. We move on to the Road of Sacrifices, and I hate how frantic these bird enemies are. Do not give him a chance to transform, because he'll look like that one we just killed, or this one that also provides poison. And we run into an NPC with the Butcher Knife. With every hit, they regain HP, so it's very dangerous. They almost put us in the dirt, but luckily the maze can poise them with each hit, and we kill them right after that. Dropping down here and killing 2 dogs, we get the Mourn's Ring, and I'm a little excited to get it after I see its effect. Oh my god. We also get the Braille Divine Tomb of Karim, which offers 3 new miracles in it as long as we give it to Irina. Mourn's Ring increases miracle damage by 12%, and this effect doesn't work with weapon buffs or any healing miracles. We currently don't have any damaging miracles to take advantage of this ring, but once we stack them up like paper, which will allow us to hit even harder, which is very important because if we kill the enemy earlier, we use less FP. Not needed now, but eventually when we have the miracles we need to go along with it, this is going to hit very hard. We also give Irina the Braille Tomb so that we can get 3 new miracles.
Oh, you've brought me a Braille Divine Tome. Now I can tell new tales of miracles. Tales of the greater miracles can be quite the epics. What fun we will have.
She sells Force, but we already know about that one. We have a new healing in Med Heal. It costs more, but it heals you 410% of your spell buff. So honestly, it's definitely more effective than Heal, but I don't have enough FP to really make use of it. It's 55, which takes a huge chunk of my FP bar. I'd say save this when you have more health and higher attunement. And finally, we have the return of Tears of Denial. It does the same thing, allowing you to live on 1 HP when you should have died. Still pretty much one of my best go-to self buffs that I prefer to use. But in this game, you can cast it, rest at your bonfire, regain your FP, but you'll still keep Tears of Denial. And also it lasts indefinitely until its effect activates or you warp bonfires. So while yes, it's expensive, as long as you can cast it and rest at your bonfire, you're good. It doesn't really cost you anything. It won't save you from everything, especially multi-hit attacks, but I always use this. We go and meet Henri and her assistant Horace.
Oh, hello. How do you do? I am Henri of Astora, unkindled like you. This is Horace, a friend and traveling companion.
And there's a bunch of enemies in this area with some nice thick pointy rods. And we see a nice return of these insects from Dark Souls 2 and jump this big enemy, and his attacks are fast, but they're very easily telegraphed, so we can get away from them pretty easily. And we finally have enough souls to get Tears of Denial. We go over and commit the die later, so we can continue leveling up with Yhorm for free. And after stealing a couple levels, he dies and gets replaced by his master.
Oh, prithee, art thou good Yhorm's master?
And she has another divine tomb that'll give us dark miracles, and we can give this to Irina, but if we buy them from her, we're actually going to stop her quest line. So I'll be coming back and describing these when I can actually use them. Witness a teleporting dog. What the f? We eat up this nice soul spear, and as we get invaded, I go down underneath and find a ring we're probably going to be using for most of this run, the Sage Ring. Now this ring, when I read about it, is pretty weird because it doesn't give you a set percentage of reducing the spell casting time. For the level we have, they say it gives you virtually 30 dexterity, and the cap for reducing casting time is 50 dex. So as long as your 20 dex are under, you'll get the maximum effect out of this ring. And we get invaded from what I assume is a real player. If not, I'm just super trash. We do get them, and I know PvP is some people's thing. It's just really not my thing at all. but that invader cost us like all of our Estus, so I'm not ready for this NPC out here, especially after this twirl attack. Oh, never mind. I was ready. Too bad I'm not ready for his boy out here. It's fine. We just head back to the bonfire to get our Estus back. All these dudes are doing was keeping us from the entrance to Firelink Keep, the obligatory poison swamp. We at the very least bring caressing tears for this part. We also meet a dark wraith, and he blows right past me, kills another enemy just to show he's about to tear me a new ass. This dude does not stagger easily, and he only takes a little bit of damage from our weapon. Thankfully, we are able to beat him, not until he gets rid of most of our flasks. And we get the Sage Coal, which is very important because if we give it to Andre, we can turn our weapons into blessed weapons with that. And an enemy that likes to jump up and land them dogs on me. And also, hey, yo, we can't be showing that. And there are areas in this swamp where you actually start slow walking. And I go to this flame and find out not only do I have to extinguish it, but I have 2 more left to extinguish. We get the second flame and also kill these enemies on this bridge so we can get our next bonfire that's close to the door we're trying to open. Who is Johnny Sins? I don't even know. A lot of people watch him though. Very famous actor. Johnny Sins is an actor. Oh, I get it. He has played in a couple movies. And there's a huge building in the middle of this area, so we go and climb up the ladder. And not only that, you get 2 stunning views. One of Firelink Keep, and one just looking out into the ocean. This is actually pretty stunning. On the very top, there is a stray demon that we can fight, and this dude hits incredibly hard. He took like half my HP. Not only that, he also grabs me, and I'm pretty sure it deals damage multiple times, so it tears through my Tears of Denial. Come on, bro, I was already dead. You didn't have to do all that. After that, I decide to go the opposite way, kill a couple crystal lizards for their gems and titanite, and finally we get our first damaging miracle, Lightning Spear. Lightning Spear acts a bit differently in this game, as you can still hurl it, but if you hit an enemy very close to you, it'll actually send another bolt from the sky to hit them as well. So you get 2 hits out of it. So you're not getting the maximum amount of damage from it unless you're right up in their face, which is pretty ironic since it's one of our first ranged miracles. We test it for the very first time against a stray demon, and oh, that did not do much. Not only that, we can't even hit him from here. We're not even that far away. I just don't think Lightning Spear can reach that distance. I think it's been nerfed like that. Damage is poor, and also I didn't know about the second lightning hit from up close, so we pretty much just used the mace to kill him right here. I didn't even use Lightning Spear for it. And just a little gift, you can turn the soul of the stray demon into Havel's Ring if you want. If you use Unfaltering Prayer, you don't have to get stunned, and you can hit them with that second lightning bolt once they're close up, so it's not unusable for now. I test the range against the crab, and I know he has higher health, but I expected it to do more damage than this. Before I continued, I decided to go back up, and we find the Crystal Sage's arena. And I'm definitely hesitant because I assumed there was something else going with these projectiles. I thought if they're slow, they gotta do something else. But for phase 1, you gotta slash them enough times until they just go and teleport away. But down to around about 50% HP, they summon a couple more copies, and it's a bit more difficult on this one. And much more difficult because I was getting staggered so many times when I tried to actually hit the Crystal Sage. Tears saved me, but I didn't use it to its fullest, and I just end up dying right after. The good thing for the copies is that you can at least just hit them, and then they'll go away, and then you can take on the Sage when they're by themselves. How am I avoiding every single one of them? So we follow that strategy, and eventually we take out the Crystal Sage. I don't think I really used my Lightning Spear during all this. I probably should have. There we go, another boss down, and it took us 2 attempts for this one. Also right here, I see that I think the second bolt can actually do splash damage to other enemies. Can someone explain how I got hit here? I just like that it's called Herald's Armor. Like, what else we got next? Like Bartholomew or some shit? We also have some NPCs to face and try Lightning Spear on. How close do I have to be? Who the f? The dude with the battle axe is always up in our face, especially when he wants to almost kill us. So we take him out, and next is the more agile NPC. And honestly, whenever I want to hit him with Lightning Spear up close, I have to trade. Not much else happens. We enter the Cathedral of the Deep and then initiate the cutscene to do the first DLC.
Thank you. Day of Ash never fails. Just a moment, then. The painting of Ariandel. Well, rotted scrap of it, that is. Go on. Take it. Touch it. The ashes were too.
But we're definitely not doing this right now, so we head on back. We face our first Black Knight, and trading's definitely not going to work on this guy. And when we go outside, we're also invaded by an NPC. I don't know, it might be a real player. I think it's an NPC, but he pulls some of the funniest I've seen mid-battle.
It was my destiny to be here, in the box.
So currently we're still going mostly melee, and right now we use Lightning Spear to either chip damage or finish off any low HP enemies. I also use pretty much my entire inventory of boss souls, and I only really get 1 level from that. I'm actually dumbfounded at that. Did you say item? Ah! Now the Sunlight Talisman is definitely one of the weaker talismans when it comes to spell buff, but I'm pretty sure it has the highest amount of poise for Unfaltering Prayer, which is about 120. So as long as you use this weapon skill, most of the time you're not going to be knocked out of it unless you're getting hit by like 3 Great Hammers, I assume. And I didn't have to, I just wanted to see how well Lightning Spear would do against this one big enemy over here. Okay, I kind of did have to because I needed that final flame. And with that, we can leave Farron Keep behind and move on forward to the Abyss Watchers. We also buy a good amount of Titanite so we can start upgrading our Sunlight Talisman as well. Not much happens, we just make it to the bonfire before our next boss, but finally it's time. This dude is pretty quick, so I can't just be launching lightning spears whenever I want. And you can also have a second Abyss Watcher enter throughout the fight, who has an independent health bar from the boss, so we can't actually damage that big health bar from damaging this second one. There is a third one that is neutral and will attack anybody close by, so I use this time to just snipe the real Abyss Watcher. In our first attempt, we actually do get the first HP bar out the way and make it to the second phase. after this fight was actually group hangout for me, so my friends were asking me what I wanted to order since we were about to go get food. Like, bro, how do you want me to give a detailed description of the order I want in the middle of the Abyss Watchers fight? But this dude pretty much attacks twice, one with his swing and another with the fire that comes right after it. And even after this sick ass combo, he has time to put me in the dirt. And because of that fire, he also has a pretty good amount of range, and I'm not quite up to his speed yet, and we go down. For the second attempt, I just let everyone duke out all their business, and that doesn't exactly work out. On the third attempt, I'm trying more to use Lightning Spear, especially up close with its skill, but I eventually quit doing that because I don't know the timings that well, and I just can't trade with this guy. But we go back and level up our talisman for the fourth attempt, and I swear it got personal real quick because he just pulled out this combo to just slurp away all of my HP. For the fifth attempt, when we go into second phase, we still have a good amount of Estus and Ashen on our side. And mostly we just Lightning Spear him at a range. He has gotten us down to 0 Ashen and 0 Estus, but I think I understand his distance enough that I can just launch these without worrying too much. I did have to lock in at the end, but we eventually end up getting him. Definitely one of the tougher bosses that we fought. It took us 5 attempts and 4 deaths for this guy, but definitely still a very fun fight. After this fight, we can go into the catacombs, and we don't stay here for too long because I'm followed by a bunch of high damaging enemies until they lead me to a point where I just die and leave my souls very far into the level. We get the Farron ring, and we only use it once, but this thing will reduce the amount of FP used on skills. But we just make our way to get inside of the cathedral. This dude kills one of his own for just standing there. They weren't even doing nothing. And there's this one creature that'll give you maggots, and maggots will continuously build up your bleed bar even if you're not getting hit by anything. To get rid of them, you either have to use a bleed clump or just whip out a torch and the maggots will just fall right off. We face a couple enemies, but they actually throw something at us that'll prevent us from using our Estus. And honestly, a good amount of my time is just using the skill on the chime and just waiting, just chilling out here. There's so many enemies waiting to attack you. Even this one enemy, there's 2 more that pop out of nowhere. And right here is where I see the chime out damages the sunlight talisman, even though it's not upgraded, but the sunlight it's +3. We open this door so we can actually enter inside the cathedral, and they have a couple giants in this place. And I just know the game's ambushes too well at this point. I know it! We catch some of the Deacons, and honestly, they didn't really do anything about me invading their privacy. But we open a door that takes us outside and allows us to go to the first church. And since we're not leveling strength, I mostly decide to just turn our mace into the raw version, just so we can get some extra damage until we get some faith scaling weapons. And Greyrat sells the priest chime, which again has a better spell buff, so I decide to go and get that. And I decide to see the damage difference with this enemy that's currently distracted. That's not what I wanted to test out. This enemy likes to get freaky with our head over here. And as we descend to the lower levels, the giant wakes up and starts attacking us. Yo, ever asked for the go? It's me! Ow! We have a big dude decked out in armor, and I hate these dudes. They have blessed weapon, and they got heal. Like, y'all can just eat it. And killing this mimic will also grant us another deep braille tomb. And we can give it to Irina, but they're also dark miracles, so if we buy it off her, it'll just fail her quest. And we slowly inch forward in this area, but I know they made this enemy just to make some people's phobias act up. We run away from that whole ordeal, and we use this lever to raise like a gate, and I don't really know the purpose of this. And we open up another door so we can get back to the bonfire in the previous church. And this shortcut will also lead us to an elevator that takes us to the roof of this cathedral. And there's a couple enemies here, and I do not feel safe fighting on these rafters or this huge X. And there's another knight over here, and all he's defending is a blessed gem. And yes, it's like the exact same thing we had on our shield, so it's the same information that we described before. So we lure this knight away from this area so we won't fall off, and I swear to God, these dudes are always a problem. And this is weird, but their blessed mace also, when it hits the ground, drops like blessed dookies, and if I go near it, I also take explosion damage. But there's a place over here we can fall 2 levels down to an area that also has a bonfire and a lady that will reset your stats so you can reallocate them however you want. And currently the raw effect is still going to deal more damage than blessed, but I really just wanted to see the damage difference in it. We also kill this giant crystal lizard who gives us Titanite scales, which we don't need right now, but is going to be very necessary later. And over here we get the Saint Tree Bellvine, and I don't really use it for the run, but I'm going to explain to you why you should. As long as you have it in your offhand, it will give you the max casting speed. Use this on your offhand, and anything else you use will be its max casting speed, which is pretty much like you have 50 dex. We go back to this spider werewolf this thing, and I was not paying attention to my curse bar because he instantly KOs us once it fills up. Say goodbye to any future babies of yours. Oh shit. We just run out and hurl lightning spears at him until he staggers, and then we can get in the riposte. We have to fat roll past this giant guarding these staircases, and again these knights only cause me problems. Thankfully there's an elevator nearby, and finally we can face the Cathedral of the Deep, and I'm already frustrated right off the bat when I enter and try to hit him for the first time. No, not him! Whichever one is glowing is the target. I didn't even really have to say that. But they're absolutely surrounded in just a sea of even more Deacons. And for its second phase, another like 5 of them appear up in the front, and the red glow won't just be alternating between multiple Deacons. You just have to hunt down one of them to kill. And it doesn't make it that much easier, and some of them even power up this giant dark orb. And if you let it persist further, they also cause a cursed like fog that'll kill you eventually. Luckily we can still backstab these enemies, but the other Deacons can not only heal the main one, the most annoying thing to me is they can just use force on me. Honestly, they just kept on healing the other dude, and I just ran out of Estus eventually. It was like a battle of attrition, and I lost. Next up, my plan was just using a green blossom and using the skill on my mace so we can poise through all of them. My problem with this strategy is I just didn't bring enough Ashen to refill my FP so I could continuously do this. And I was so focused on dealing damage that I didn't even focus on the other people giving me cursed. For the next attempt, I decided to bring in Force so we can use it with the talisman for extra poise, and it does work as we move the main guy away from the group, but I'm getting staggered by getting hit with fireballs, and not only that, the people building up curse are still a problem that when I go to deal with, now most of them are just surrounding him again, and I ran out of all my FP again. And I just tried to kill him quickly, but again we get cursed. And next up we decided to bring Lightning Spear to the function with the poise. And again, we were so close this time, but I just again ran out of Ashen. Mainly my problem was I was using my FP during phase 1, which I shouldn't have. And for the next attempt, I decided to bring in the Farron Ring so that it will cost less FP when I use the skill on my talisman. I bring in extra Ashen just to make sure we have enough lightning spears for this whole fight. We're dealing actually pretty good damage in the midst of it all, but they're attacking me a lot of times. They actually bring me down and activate my Tears of Denial, and luckily I'm still able to escape in time. And I still didn't have enough lightning spears, but thankfully no one really heals him and we're able to just out damage him, and there we go. This dude took me like the most amount of attempts I think yet. Not only that, I was really trying to kill this dude fast because I was going to go with my friend to go watch something. Ultimately, it took us 5 attempts and 4 deaths to beat the Deacons, so statistically, he's just as hard as Abyss Watchers. I know a lot of people consider him easy, but this is again my first time playing DS3, and that was just rough. With those souls we gain, we use the tower key, we go up and get the Firekeeper soul, and I still don't know what this does, but we meet Patches as he decides to lock us inside.
Sorry, friend. Be more careful. By the gods, curiosity is gonna kill you kittens.
We have to do some parkour and fall onto some coffins to get out of here, but at the very bottom we get the Estus ring. This ring gives you an extra 20% HP whenever you use your Estus, and honestly it's just way too good to pass up. Like, it's just so great. My health bar is starting to get much larger, so just refilling most of it with 1 flask, that's a deal right there. And Patches just over here chilling, surprised that we even made it out of there, and I don't kill him just so we can keep him as a merchant.
Ah, look, you're alive. Now, hold your horses. Let's have a nice talk about this.
Not only that, we can also speak to Henri here before we head on down to the catacombs.
Oh, and we meet again. We spoke before on the Road of Sacrifices. Henri of Astora. We reached the Cathedral of the Deep, but Aldrich's coffin was empty.
And because of the name, I thought the Deacons were going to give us some type of miracle, but they don't. Their soul can only get you a sorcery or the cleric's candlestick. And this thing is such an oxymoron. It requires faith, scales off of intelligence, and only casts sorceries. Yeah, we're not using this. And not only that, just for the cherry on top, its skill only provides light. And that light does nothing unique except light up the dark. We go back and kill this giant because he's blocking a door, and I want to explore everything in these games, okay? I want to get my money's worth. But once we're outside, we get a new weapon, the Saint Bident. This thing is an actual weapon that scales off of fate. Finally. Unluckily for us, we can't use it because we don't have the dexterity for it yet. And not only that, it's 8.5 pounds, so it's a little heavy, but if we invest into this, it can be good. Well, we go into the catacombs and find Henri, who can't find Horace.
Oh, hello. How very fortunate. Have you seen my companion, Horace? To my shame, I was snared by a trap and we've become separated.
And we also get a ring that we're going to need to wield a couple other weapons, the Karthus Milk Ring. This ring will obscure you while rolling, which doesn't matter. What we're after is the +3 dexterity that it gives to you. In the future, we're going to be getting weapons that ask for about like 13 dex, and I don't want to invest any points into that yet. So wearing this allows us to wield certain weapons and not have to invest into faith right now. I also noticed these jars that are sealed have curses, and enemies can also attack them to release them to harm you. We make it to a point where there's just another rolling ball. Then we also meet an NPC who has a sword that reminds me of the Dragon Bones Smasher, and I accidentally used my skill locking me into getting punted down. And we also meet some bone wheel skeletons, and I was a little scared, but I don't know, they just seem much easier in this game than in DS1. We also go and collect this crystal lizard. Eventually we reach a bridge and a bunch of skeletons reanimate, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was feeling myself. I thought I could take like all of them on, but with so many of them attacking me, they eventually stun lock me, go through my tears, and then I die. Wait, Henri, why didn't you help me, bro? I eventually realized that this place has a shortcut as long as I get this lever, and I have an idea of how to kill all these skeletons. I bring them back to the area with the rolling skeleton ball, and it rolls twice, so it doesn't kill them on the first hit, but then it goes back and kills them on the second. This was so satisfying. We go back and talk to Henri, who still hasn't found Horace.
Ah, hello. We meet again. Have you seen Horace anywhere? I've searched high and low with no luck. Perhaps he's left the catacombs. Have you abandoned me? No. What a horrible thought.
And I'm told that I can knock the bridge down, which this definitely would have been useful, but I still think my way was better, okay? And you can use the bridge as a ladder to descend down, but we're gonna do this after the next boss, who is through these doors, and right now it's time that we face Wolnir. I know that you have to attack the braces, but he brings me in closer and I die very quick. Second attempt ain't going much better, as when he crawls over here, he's forcing me to go further back. This feels like that move when you have a girl up against a wall, then you slam the wall and then just confess to them, I got no space over here. And not only that, Lightning Spear was not getting any effects out of this whole exchange. When the skeletons came out, I knew my downfall wasn't that far behind. Next attempt, I was actually able to hit both of the braces on his right arm, but I swear the one on his left was such a rangy little... It was really difficult for me to be in an actual position where I could hit it and not get that much damage in return. I don't even end the fight with hitting the bracelet, I end it mostly with hitting his arms. But it took us around 3 attempts to take him down, which is much more than my chat expected. It's the opposite of a speed run. Bro, I wanted this lean. Do you see how dank it looks? Gotta get me slurred up. I don't even know why I said that. That's not a word. That's literally not even a word. And then now with that, we finally see Irithyll Valley. And now I'm actually going to exchange Wolnir's soul to get his holy sword. I put 1 point into strength to wield it. I now also have the milk ring, which I have enough dexterity to use it, and it doesn't scale the best with faith, but as we level it up, that'll just get better, and it's only physical damage as well. And I did not expect these great swords to be as quick as they are. Look at this speed. And with the souls, we just put 1 into strength and 2 into dex, and as long as we have the ring, we can wield this bad boy. It also has the Wrath of the Gods skill, and when you plant it in the ground, it does damage and then does the actual miracle. But from what I see, this skill scales not off of faith, but off of the attack rating of the weapon. I don't know how true that is. But since we don't really use Titanite scales for much, I decided we might as well upgrade it anyway. And I'm informed if we want to continue Sigurd's questline, we have to buy all of his armor from Patches and deliver it to him outside of the cathedral in this well over here. That took me a minute to find.
Hello? Hello? Anyone there? Anyone at all? Oh, my armor. My deepest gratitude. I am Siegfried of Katarina, salute you.
We cross this bridge and then this dog appears and we're just gonna have to put him down. Oh nah, this dude's a threat. He's a menace. This was a bad time to cast Lightning Spear, wasn't it? This dude's like an actual boss. He can't go through the doorway, so I have time to heal, and I wanted to hurl some lightning bolts, but he just disappears. He's out of there. He does reappear, and I'm sorry, what? Took a couple attempts and that dude was rough. We actually do make it to Irithyll, but we're gonna take a detour real quick. I go back and kill this crystal lizard so that we can get its Titanite scales, so that we can upgrade our holy sword up to +2 and descend the ladder so we can make our way over to Smoldering Lake. There's a demon down here, but we have enough range to actually hit him with some lightning spears from up top. I also forgot physics because I thought I could jump on top of him from here. And in the midst of this squabble, a mimic appears and starts kicking ass. And they actually do fight each other, giving me time to go up and heal before we go and face this demon again, throwing some more lightning spears. It really wasn't that much to take him down. But at the bottom we reach Smoldering Lake, and they decide to give me a nice welcome gift when I arrive to the neighborhood. What am I hearing? But don't worry, because a snake monster also pops out that we have to fight as well as we're getting shot with arrows. And for the next boss, we got the old Demon King. Yo, this dude can light anything on fire. Bring him over to the Carne Asada, man, with Goku and Goku and my deal or something. Honestly, I don't think I was doing too bad fighting him close up, but he had this Ring of Fire move that also moved in closer. I didn't really know how to dodge it, and I was just taking too many hits from both that and him. Outside, you can actually use these giant ballistas to kill this enemy out here, and it's very necessary that we do that right now, because after he dies, he drops Lightning Stake, our next miracle. We still need to put a couple points into faith to actually use it, but this miracle actually does some whopping damage. It's a close range lightning spell that apparently can hit the target 3 times if you hit them perfectly, so it's just a heavy hitter. And we don't have the faith to use it, but once we get it, whoo, bosses are gonna melt. We traverse the Smoldering Lake until we go into a cave and unfortunately find Horus hollowed. And I can see why you went hollow, bro. You are not that good at fighting, I swear to God. I'm sorry to say it, I'm sorry. But we can at least put him out of his misery and tell Henri where he is. Back at the lake, we need these ballistas to actually hit that floor right there so we can go down further into this secret area. I'm gonna say that I hate most of the enemies that I have encountered when I went down here. Pretty much, I think it is just called the Demon Ruins. And they have more Black Knights down here. Bro, they do not quit their job, huh? See, this is an example of an enemy I don't like because they put that fire orb up top that starts hitting me as well with more fireballs and staggering me. And a sad day to see the fair lady is also passed away. Oh my God, we gotta deal with y'all again? I'm not gonna lie, Tarkus hyped me up a bit when I got that first riposte on him. But after that, he decided to lock the in. There is a thing though where if he makes Tears of Denial activate, he thinks he killed me, so he emotes, giving me the perfect chance to backstab him, which doesn't even matter. Again, I mostly just did chip damage with Lightning Spear, and with his heavy attacks I can just roll behind him and also backstab him again. Turn this into my new 9 to 5, bro. But he can't be blocking with that sword forever. Wait, why didn't he use his shield? And we're brought up top, leading our way into the ballista machine. There's a couple of bone wheel skeletons that I just decided to bring out the mace for these guys instead. Not much was really in our way, and we can now officially turn this thing off. Even though it doesn't really matter that it's off, we have a bonfire right next to the boss, but I wanted to do it. We're back here again, and honestly, I'm just throwing a bunch of lightning spears, and when he does that ring of fire thing again, I mostly just decide to run away and not even deal with that whole thing at all. And again, he's slow. I'm comfortable dealing with him throwing the hands, but as we're close to winning, I actually get stuck inside his mace. I can't go closer. I can't escape for a while. And I was charging up my heavy attack to finish him off until he does that. If I had been allowed to run away, I swear I could have gotten it in this attempt. Thankfully, we don't actually get stuck inside his club after this. It really wasn't that bad. We killed him on the next attempt. And overall, he wasn't that bad of a boss. We did only have to attempt it 3 times. He doesn't really drop anything we need, and I'm pretty sure this is an optional area, but at least good to take him out of the way before we get on to Pontiff. After killing the old Demon King, we now have enough faith to actually use Lightning Stake, and oh yeah, that's good damage. Time to go through Irithyll, and these dudes are incredibly quick. There's also another one of them that can use long-range fire against us, that when hitting us, it'll stagger us and throw us in the air, and look at how fast that grab was, I swear! And I wanted to focus him first, but then all these other minions come through and we have to deal with them. Once those dudes are all taken care of, he's not really much of a threat. Except that grab, that thing was lightning speed. But we make it to a church with our next bonfire, and there's a proof of concord kept here, and it's used for a covenant to get a miracle. I need 30 of them. I'm not doing that, okay? We also see Henri, and I think she already knows the bad news.
Oh, I thought it might be you. Good to see you. I never managed to find Horace. But my duty must be done, even alone, as an unkindled Lord Seeker.
And also chat again informed me that there's somebody disguised in here.
Oh, my. You are. But I'm afraid we require more time.
Dude, just casting this feels powerful. There's also some enemies whose bodies are invisible until you get up close to them. Like, are they supposed to be stealthy? Because, like, that it's not really working. Excrement covered ashes? Bro, do I even want to give this to her? That feels like it would... I wouldn't want that. We've literally been through hell, but it's nice to see our boy Sigurd once again.
Oh, I seem to have missed my chance, so... I, Siegwart of Katarina, offer my deepest gratitude, and a little surprise to go with it. It's all yours.
What are you giving me?
I know. Won't you join me for dinner? I make a fine Esther soup. I've got some stewing right now.
Homies help homies, what else can I say? Sigurd gave us another offensive miracle. It works like the other ones where you just hurl like a ball of force at an enemy, dealing physical damage and also pushing them alongside them getting hit. And the damage isn't too bad, but what you're really going to want to use it for is its knockback ability. I did not take full advantage of that through the whole playthrough, but if there's a standard enemy or human-like enemies that are giving you trouble, put this on. These enemies creep me out, but when they lunge at you, just make them lunge into a corner, you'll be fine. And this setup looked a little bit suspicious, so I decided to lure this knight out. This knight really loves to reveal his backside so I can give him them back shots like, damn, I know you're excited for Johnny Sins, but chill. And we use Wrath of the Gods as he comes up because it needs a long charge time, allowing us to get him with it, deal a lot of damage, and he's low. See, I knew I lured him out for a good reason. I knew it. There's another knight on the stairs, but he goes down easily, as well as the archer. They really weren't a problem. What is a problem are these dogs right here. Like, it's just one of them right now, and I almost lose all my souls. Again, I just know when something seems fishy. I can't see much in there, so I decide to use an alluring skull, and there's somebody up top attacking while there's a couple enemies down below ready to ambush me. And we also open this gate, unlocking a shortcut all the way back to Pontiff Sullivan. We have a couple more things before we do that, so we go and pick up the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. This ring is like Morn's ring, but it gives you 20% increase in miracle damage as opposed to 12. So it's just an upgraded version, but not only that, you can also still run Morn's ring with it, so you can get a 32% boost in miracle damage. Either way, this is going to be pretty much staple to our character throughout most of the run. And I decided to actually test out Emit Force, and look at how much it pushes them back. It's like a whole 2 seconds of forcing them to stop, but like Emit forcing them to stop. Oh my god. And finally we go to Pontiff. He tries to intimidate me with that slow walk. Oh! This dude is no joke, and neither is my lightning stake. You only have a couple of windows to even charge up lightning stake against him, so I mostly use Wolnir's sword. And we get another miracle off on him, and again, it's doing some really good damage. And we almost got him down to halfway for our first attempt, so that's not too bad. But I was thinking, am I even going to be able to get him? Wait, that's the second phase right there! And right at the beginning of the second attempt, he grabs me, puts me into a corner, and it just takes my lunch money. Bro, I really gotta activate Elden Ring mode with some of these delayed attacks, okay? But for a couple more attempts, I just die over and over again. I eventually decided it's better to go with the Sunlight Talisman so we can start poising through his attacks while hitting the lightning stake. That first one missed and honestly made me lose faith in the whole strategy. But I decided to run it back again, and we have 2 rings that increase our miracle damage, so it's fine if the talisman itself does less. And not only that, I didn't expect this double grab attempt. And he does spawn like an illusion of himself throughout the second phase. But the good part about that is that when I use lightning stake, I actually hit both of them. I'm already pretty much aiming for Pontiff, so it's literally just killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And I don't think my eyes deceive me, but it's perfect when he summons it because I kill it in 1 hit. Him summoning it is a benefit, so I have time to run over and hit both of them with a lightning stake and do immense damage. And we get him close to dead with another lightning stake. And there we go. There's really no way we can lose this one. I'm not even being sarcastic for the video. Wait, there really was no way to even lose this. But we end him off with 1 more miracle. And he definitely was one of the tougher bosses. It took us around 7 attempts to actually kill this guy. But once we actually did with the poise casting, it took us 2 attempts from there on out. I'm actually starting to see how important poise casting is to faith builds. After taking on Pontiff, I want to go after the dungeon. There's an NPC blocking it, and I don't know how I dodged that whole skill, but don't feel bad for him because he got the whole thing off on me on the second try. Did he just try to hit me with his crossbow? Once in the dungeon, I fall for the oldest trick and get pushed off the ledge. And I find one of the most annoying enemies ever that as they stare at you, they'll just drain your maximum HP bar. Thankfully, Force can put him down at least. We also see a giant that I assume is supposed to kill us, but my man just decided to sleep on the job. And I also encounter a very weird mimic that goes on all 4s. And he decides to go back into chess mode in some of the most random areas, acting as if I'm just not gonna remember that it's him. We also find this area with a bunch of deceased armor, and we're gonna have to come back to this place a little later. And we also pick up an item I've been waiting to get. Lightning Blade. Thankfully they reversed it back, where now the lightning damage applied to your weapons scales off of the spell buff of either your chime or talisman, so it's definitely better on faster weapons. But this also kind of sucks because Wolnir's is fast, but it's a boss weapon. Even though it doesn't have split damage, you can't use Lightning Blade on this thing. I don't know why. That seems like a very dumb decision. But now, since we have MP instead of the old attunement system, we can rebuff our weapons as many times as we want instead of being limited to 1 or 2 or 3. I eventually think that I might want to use it on Saint Bident since it has natural faith scaling. So it deals only physical damage. That physical damage is scaling off of faith, and then we can apply a Lightning Blade, which is also scaling off of faith. It's like double scaling, but I don't use it. I didn't think it was better than Wolnir's. We go up and hit this invisible railing, and we find an evangelist out here and we try to take her out with range, but we fall in, and she hits hard. I'm not gonna lie, she hit me up with the honey the food's cold treatment, but her dumbass decides to do that one attack that stalls her out for a few seconds, allowing us to hit her with a lightning stake, and she drops a new miracle, Dory's Gnawing. I think I'm saying it right. This new miracle is cheap, it does dark and bleed buildup, so it's our first source of dark damage, but the real kicker from this is the bleed. It's 210 bleed buildup, which is equivalent to some weapons having to hit an enemy 5 to 6 times. There's actually a lot of enemies where you can proc bleed on the first hit actually. I don't know it yet, but this thing is one of the most busted miracles that I use for some bosses. There were a lot of those jailer enemies and I tried to sneak around them, but there's also a mimic I couldn't pass up trying to kill and he just ends up killing me. He drops us the symbol of avarice, which we definitely need for farming, and even more titanite scales. And a giant enemy pops out on this little bridge, but light work, man. And we see Laddersmith Gilligan, and he gives us an undead bone shard that we can use for our Estus. Thank you, bro. We're in the profaned capital, which houses another Lord of Cinder, but we're not gonna kill him yet, but we are gonna explore this area. And there's a little tiny poison swamp here, like Pocket Edition. This enemy's sleeping, so I decide to wake him up. He's so slow and lethargic. I feel bad for even killing him. I woke him up, he was probably having a good time, dreaming about something, and now he's gone. There's a sorcerer up here. Why am I even showing this? He wasn't that big of a deal. But as we get up there and we drop down, we get the actual miracle, Wrath of the Gods. We've already seen some of it because of Wolnir's Holy Sword, and it's not as good as it was before. Definitely nowhere near as quick as DS1, and do you guys remember that shit, right? I think it is one of the highest scaling miracles that you can get. I might be wrong on that, but it does do a lot of damage. Not only that, now it's going to be doing physical damage, and it still knocks people off. Definitely not what you want to be using it for, but it can work. Just make sure you bring a talisman to poise cast it. And I walk into this room and I see a bunch of these enemies, and I just remember how I killed them before. They're slow, they're not going to do anything. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, round 2, these dudes are weak to bleed, so I just hit them up with a bunch of Dory's Gnawing. This is what I was talking about. They can proc bleed with just one hit. All there was in here was a purging stone. I feel like the souls I retrieved were more of a prize than this item. We also have to make our way through to this window to see our boy Siegward once again.
Ah, you are a saint. Once again, you are my valiant savior. I, Siegward of Catarina, express my deepest gratitude. Take this, a token of my thanks. Go on, it's all yours.
And he gives us a freaking titanite slab. And also a little note, as you're charging on Wrath of the Gods, you can still walk around until you actually cast it. So you can still move a little bit. I actually decide to head back to the path after Pontiff, and we face the Deacons. Thankfully not in a boss fight. We also kill this mimic so we can get the golden ritual spear, which will allow you to cast sorceries using faith. Good thing that sorceries still require you to have an intelligence requirement to meet them, right? Oh my god. There's also some Dragonslayer knights trying to stop us, and I think the dark weapon looks so drippy, bro. But I hate those goddamn spears. Not only that, we have to deal with 2 of these bozos. Luckily, the second one just decided to give us time to kill the first guy. Were they not buddies or something? And then I just end him. Like, come on, bro. You're meeting him at the heaven gates at the same time. There's an invisible wall up ahead, and I decide to go down, but there's another one of those dogs, so I don't go through with it. What's down there? I don't know. And the Anorlando Knights from DS1 decided they wanted to make a cameo. You know, it wasn't complete without them. Gotta say, it was definitely much more of a problem facing the Knights when I got to them than their archery. And we also make it to this point where we've met Gwendolyn, but in Dark Souls 1. We also get the brass set from the Firekeeper in Anorlando before. There's also a ring that allows you to reverse like gender actions or something. I don't know what this, I kind of don't know what it does. Does it do anything you need later? Why does this feel very much like Anorlando? Oh god. No way. No way. We also get the Easterner Ashes, which will allow us to buy large Titanite shards. We actually have the Jailer's Key, and we go back and actually decide to open this gate that houses someone named Carla.
Oh, there you are. I thought you'd all but forgotten me. How sweet. Oh, you're not one of them, are you? Accept my apologies for mistaking you for one of those leeches.
She returns back to Firelink, and we can now buy dark miracles from her, especially if we give her tomes that allow her to teach us more dark miracles. She was actually hesitant at first to take out the divine tomb, and I thought she wouldn't do it yet. You just have to ask her twice. We head on into Anne Orlando, and we see the giant blacksmith from DS1 dead. He also does give us the giant skull, which will allow us to put lightning infusions on our weapons. But this is sad. We also open the main door so we don't have to keep on going around. And there's a bunch of Deacons blocking the fog gate, but we also have an Ember just so we have a bit of extra HP. And now we're fighting Aldrich, who has some slow moving projectiles. Then that, and I swear she faked this miss just so she can come around and hit me again. I also don't really know how to avoid this attack. I know she does it when you're farther away, but I swear she's done it at close range. I thought they were just staying still, so I go with Lightning Stake, but when they teleport away, they also hit you up with an AoE right afterwards. And it looks like when she enters second phase, she actually gets fire damage added on to some of her attacks. And these arrows go on for so long. Do they stop once you start taking damage from them or something? Either way, I didn't learn my lesson that when she teleports away, she does damage, and that ends the first attempt. I wanted to see if Emit Force would deal any more damage, and 44. How much health do they have in total? 4,700. Cool. I'm only noticing this on a rewatch, but when she does that scythe attack, she actually siphons your health. And after she did another arrow attack, I just went to the back of the arena, which just gave her a clear shot of hitting me with her other long range magic. And I was down to 1 HP with the arrows and her attack, and I had no chance. My brain starts working and I'm able to actually hit her with some miracles and get away without being damaged. And I just decided to pummel them with Lightning Stake. This thing is reliable to me. They did bring me down to 0 Estus and 0 Ashen, but we are able to take out Aldrich, another Lord of Cinder. It was only 3 attempts, so I don't think that was too bad. We definitely had much more difficulty on Pontiff Sullivan, but now we're just one step closer to getting all the Lord Souls that we need. And with Aldrich's soul, we can now use it to get Life Hunt Scythe. It's more of a close combat dark miracle. And not only that, it'll actually regenerate some HP from the enemies that you hit, just like what happened in the boss battle with Aldrich. And from what I'm reading, the health that you gain should scale off of the spell buff of your Chime or Talisman. But it is a little bit slow and you'll have to be up close, so I do recommend using Unfaltering Prayer to poise through enemies, and you'll essentially be trading, but it'll also be good because you can regen HP. And not only that, I think you deserve some style points for using this thing. We go on up the elevator we used in DS1. They also have the Sun Princess ring up here, which I don't know why they gave it to us this late. It regenerates 2 HP per second, and when you're already putting points into Vigor and Embering, you're not going to notice its regenerative powers in battle, like at all. We head back down to the Profane Capital, and I just decided to run past this dude. I'm not dealing with him right now. And there's a nice group of enemies, so I decide to poise cast Life Hunt Scythe to see both the damage and how much regen I can get when hitting multiple enemies. And side note, I realized I was only bringing in close quarter miracles. I had Lightning Stake, Wrath of the Gods, and Life Hunt Scythe. This was not a good combo. But we go against these mimics, and I wake them up at the same time, and they're pretty much synchronized when they start attacking me. So it's a little bit easier to avoid it since it's almost like I'm avoiding only one hit. But when they start attacking in different intervals, that's when it got a little bit scary. But we go and take them out, level ourselves up, and now it's time to take on Yhorm. Yo, is that my boy Sigurd? Just rolling on up to... It's not even my boss fight anymore, it's his.
Yhorm, old friend. I, Siegward of the Knights of Catarina, have come to uphold my promise. sun shine upon this Lord of Cinder.
Okay, to actually fight this guy, we have to get the Storm Ruler in this arena and charge it up to hit it with a wind attack. I didn't know that's how it was supposed to be used initially, but I eventually understand what they want me to do. Damn, is this what it's like for someone under 5'5" to fight someone 6 feet? Honestly, it's a bit more of a gimmick fight since we have to use this sword, but that doesn't make it any less cool. With one more charge attack, we take out Yhorm. And my boy Sigurd just decides, alright, you know, I'm a rest. Oh, and he just sits back down! G-type behavior right there.
It seems I'm in your debt once again. My thanks. I could have not kept my promise without you. Now, for a final toast. To your valor, and my old friend Yhorm. Long may the sun shine. You are a true friend. Best of luck with your duty.
And right after beating Yhorm, we enter a cutscene that teleports us away.
Unkindled one. The fire fades and awaits its one last reward. Prince Lothric is in your hands. Please save his soul.
And now we're back in Lothric Castle with the woman that gave us the banner before. In case you try some alright? Don't bother. And she gives us a key item we have to use on that statue behind her. And as we try to put the key item in, we have to now fight the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. I haven't even been able to sit at a bonfire yet. They are a little bit slow, but I decide to go and try to use my holy sword on them. And I see why some people might like this boss, but let her complete a couple combos and your health bar is going to drain. And I poise cast Wrath of the Gods and it deals a good amount of damage, but I don't think it's good enough in terms of health. And I eventually start using Dory's Gnawing, and I think they're weak to both Dark and Bleed. This miracle was made for this boss. After only like 2 hits they bleed, and I'm able to dodge at least most of this spinning combo. And from a few times I timed this miracle wrong, I mostly just keep my distance and launch more of them at her. And Dancer goes down on the first attempt. It wasn't even consensual. I didn't want to be sent to this boss arena. If anyone says Dancer is hard, link them to this part. But don't ask me to 1v1 her with weapons, okay? Let's leave that out of it. If you win this first try, we just did. After that, I go back and give Carla the other tombs. And now we have 2 more dark miracles. Gnaw is honestly just a weaker version of Dory's Gnawing. Who would have guessed? I would definitely assume it's good to have at the beginning if you gave it to Irina and bought it off her. I just don't do that because I don't want to send her down the dark path, is what I hear is what happens when I do that. We then have Deep Protection, which is mostly just a jack of all trades body buff. It'll increase your damage defense, and also absorption. It also increases your resistances to most of the status effects, and it'll also increase your stamina generation. But it overrides Tears of Denial, which I wouldn't mind, but it has a 60-second duration on it, so I have to keep on reapplying it in the middle of a fight if I want to. And does Siegward's armor being laid here means he died? Oh, fuck. We go back and continue the cutscene that we were distracted from. Even after beating a bunch of hard bosses, these enemies are still difficult for me to understand them. We make it to the King's Garden, but I decide not to go in there just yet. I decide to cut through the middle and also use deep protection, and because it's also a jack of all trades, it just gives you all those boosts I listed earlier, but just a small amount of them. Honestly, if it's stacked with something, I would have used it, but I prefer to just go back to Tears after this encounter. So apparently Cirrus is also in need of some help that we can get summoned for. Right off the bat, I apply deep protection. I shouldn't have. And with this dude's health bar, I just feel like it's a boss fight. It just gives off that vibe. And he tries to apply power within, but we shut that shit down. Actually, I didn't. And that one hit clears off like 80% of my HP. When he has that on, look, I just can't trade with this man. And after seeing all that damage, I'm actually worried that Cirrus goes without me at first. And he's pretty much a player, so of course he's gonna have some Estus behind him. And he parried me. Of course his main can parry. Just take away my whole health bar, I didn't even need it. I literally just go back to old reliable of spamming Dory's gnawing. That's honestly just a strat at this point. And even though he was targeting me, he kills Cirrus with the sword as he swings it towards me. And even though I kill him in the end, it doesn't count since she died beforehand. It feels good to just cheese enemies like this. And I go back to Ludlith and I see that the Soul of the Dancer will actually give you a miracle Soothing Sunlight. Now this is the most powerful healing miracle in the game. It is 700 times your spell buff. If you have a lot of HP and you poise gas this thing, you should be able to save yourself from death as long as they don't kill you before you cast it. And not only that, it's also going to affect your allies too, so it's a really effective miracle to heal them when they're about to die too. I don't use it for this run because I have no purpose for it. Honestly, I mostly just use offensive miracles. But if you're a faith build and you also like to summon, this is not a bad option at all, especially to save any teammates. Also, when I return to this area, that dude on the left is apparently the one that heals him and buffs him. There's honestly just a bunch of knights in the hallway, but it wasn't that hard. We go past all of them. We meet this dude who is huge and in a bunch of armor. Bro, is this not Smo? Honestly, I felt comfortable dodging this man, and then we just eventually take him out. He wasn't that big of a deal, kinda. We look at what appears to be the image of the Dark Soul in the sun, make our way past with just a bunch of hollows blocking the way, and encounter a bridge that's blocked by 2 dragons. They had enough money to hire 2 of these bad boys? We can't go through them, so we have to jump down below. And again, we have a couple undead here that also throw stuff to prevent us from healing, but that's not the real big deal. The real big deal is this Pussuff man joining in on the fight from all the way down there. We absolutely assault these Lothric Knights with the power of Jesus. And there's another one of these enemies that is incredibly quick. Again, I remember meeting him before the Roads of Sacrifice, and I keep him on this guardrail to keep him like tamed, but he eventually corners me and frostbites me in the ass. We go back to the King's Garden, and I can't believe I actually fumbled this fight. We take our revenge and also open ourselves up a shortcut. And before that, we also send Grey Rat out to pillage one more time. You bitch! Oceiros actually does have a cutscene, I just didn't record it in time. I don't know if they still do this in this game, but I try to keep him in the water so he'll take more lightning damage, and he just outranges me with that staff he has over there. And he does this long combo to break my tears. And can anyone tell me, does he indicate when he's about to do that charge? I swear it's almost instantaneous when he's doing it. I'm also gonna say eventually I just don't believe I can do this fight yet, so I leave and come back to it later. We make our way to the dragon's feet. Oh my gosh, people are gonna be enjoying that shit. And on them is a pus of man. And I do not want to deal with these dudes even when they're like moving. So I just throw fire bombs and lightning spears. So from a distance we take this one out, and taking it out also kills the dragon in the process. And luckily for us, to upgrade our sword, this area has so many Titanite scales, we find one outside. And this mimic that we kill in here also gives us another 2 extra. We open this gate as a shortcut, and I go back down so we can 1v1 this enemy that killed us earlier. Nah, I'm just kidding. We get that dude stuck as if it was a stepsister on a P-Hub video. Down below, he was guarding some chests, and they give us some twinkling Titanite, which I thought I wasn't gonna need. But in a few minutes, yeah, I'm gonna need those bad boys. We find a sunlight metal out in the wild, and I hope they're always this easy to get. And we also get a nice elevator shortcut that really cuts down the time for the next boss fight. And I go back to this other dragon's foot and do the same thing I did to its brother on the other side. Well, I don't know if it's its brother. I don't know if they're related or something. Like, I'm just assuming. This mimic really trying to fool the fuck out of us right now. But this mimic actually drops the next weapon we're about to use, the Sunlight Straight Sword. It's a straight sword that scales with faith, and its skill is pretty much Sacred Oath. I love straight swords, so I'm so happy to have this thing, and it also upgrades with Twinkling Titanite, which we just got more of. This thing, Solaire Sword, is about to go in. Not only that, we get a Divine Tomb of Lothric here that we can give to Irina to get 3 more miracles that are much better. We have Bountiful Light, which is just a better regeneration miracle and fits into more builds with how powerful it is. It gives 7 HP per second. Next we have Blessed Weapon, another weapon buff that gives a percentage increase to your physical damage, and it'll give you health regeneration based on the spell buff of the chime that you're using it with. A really good option when applying lightning isn't the best way to go. And last up is Magic Barrier, giving you 35% increase in magic resistance for 90 seconds. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually a pretty long time, but I don't always apply this because I don't always go up against enemies that are using magic, and it's also a body buff which would override Tears of Denial. Tears of Denial is just so good, I usually don't want to use anything else but it. As long as we do Oath of Sunlight first, we can stack it with Tears of Denial and Bountiful Light all at the same time. I also finished Irina's questline, so we can go over to this tower, and she's now a Firekeeper.
Sweet champion of Ash, let souls be your strength.
And she also drops the dark tomb that we gave her earlier, so we can actually give it to Carla now. After giving her the tomb, she gives us access to 3 more miracles. The first one is Dark Blade, which is a weapon buff that'll add dark damage to our weapons now. And again, it scales with the spell buff, which scales off of faith, so it's better with faster weapons. Vow of Silence, which does the same thing it did in the previous games, preventing people and some enemies from even casting spells as long as they're in the same vicinity as you after you cast it. But it only lasts 15 seconds, so you're gonna have to keep on reapplying this thing. And the brand new one, Dead Again, which is a little weird. It'll transform the corpses around you into like mine trap bombs that explode and deal damage. It seems very weird and situational, and it also requires intelligence, so that's also a reason as to why I'm not going to be using it, because I can't. But we go onto this roof and dispatch all the enemies so we can make it to the Sunlight Altar. Okay, this is going to kind of suck because it has 2 miracles locked behind its ranks. For 10 Sunlight medals, you get Great Lightning Spear, and for 30, you get Sacred Oath. There's 3 ways to get them. 1, killing someone as an invader. 2, being summoned and killing a boss, or 3, having a 2% drop rate off the Lothric Knights. But we're gonna save that problem in the future. It's time to take on the Dragonslayer armor. Tank it! Not that though. At a certain point, he has to stand down and use this wind to power him up, which we use to give ourselves Blessed Weapon again. And this delayed attack takes me a while to get used to. And as you'll see, I did not expect him to send a shockwave that could go through walls. Honestly, from this footage, I don't think I'm that bad at dodging his attacks. But I made a grave miscalculation because with this huge attack, I thought I rolled enough out of the way and didn't have to dodge it. You guys can see. Second attempt starts off pretty well. And I don't notice that these butterfly things set straight up lasers towards my way. I swear I could have had it on this attempt, but they hit me with the meatball. And on this attempt, he kills me by hitting me on the very tip of his weapon. But hey, look, I got these huge sweeping charge attacks down. They won't even hit me anymore. Okay, just ignore all that and check out this win, okay? And it's not too bad. It took 4 attempts to take this dude down. I've had some harder bosses before. The only real unlucky thing is he doesn't really give us anything from his soul that we can use for faith. But after the performance from that stray sword, I decide I have to level it to +5. This is the only thing that his soul can give us that'll scale off of faith, and it requires 40 strength. We return to where we saved Irina, and we find the Morn's Great Hammer and the Moaning Shield? Okay, so for this next part, I tried to farm Lothric Knights, but I only got a couple Sunlight medals. But even though we already beat Dragonslayer armor, I was still able to get summoned for his fight by other players. And I spent like an hour, 2 hours just waiting for people to summon me just so I can get into those fights and get more Sunlight medals. So that's how I acquired them. Either way, we turn in 10 Sunlight medals right now so we can get Sacred Oath. Using this will increase your damage by 10% and increase your absorption in each element by 10%. It'll also affect allies, and it's not really a body buff, so I can still use Tears of Denial while applying this miracle. I go back to Oceiros since we have some new stuff and I'm ready to kick his ass. Once we have Sacred Oath and Lightning Blade, this just tears through him. Hell, we're able to get him down to half health before we even have to reapply it. He puts himself in a corner, and I did have a little bit of a scare thinking I was about to die. And counting every single attempt, we actually tried this boss 4 times. But I swear I don't understand those charge attacks, man. We get the Path of the Dragons emote and make our way to Untended Graves. And over here we get a nice little ring, the Ashen Estus ring. This ring will give you an extra 20% increase in FP gain when you use your Ashen Flask. I don't have that large of an FP bar, so I don't need it right now. And I have a lot more weapon buff items that I can get more value out of for just a 150 FP cost of a miracle. So it's definitely more for late game once your FP bar is starting to get huge. We pick off these 2 crystal lizards one at a time. We get into a little sorcery versus miracle battle with this NPC. He has like a magic shower attack that does light amount of damage and a fast magic spear that does a ton of it. But sorcery's got nothing against miracles, baby. Bro, I swear to God, we fought you at the beginning. But now it's time to go against Champion Gundyr, and this dude is a total pushover. I just Dory knot him the entire time. I'm bullying this man. I took his entire lunch money and put his head in the swirly in the toilet. He did get me down to 0 Estus, but I didn't even start with my max Estus, so he definitely wouldn't have done it if I rested at the bonfire. I just pretty much do circles around this dude doing Dory's gnawing. I'm dead. Oh, I'm a beast. I'm a literal beast. Never lose in this game ever. First attempt beat this man, and he probably is a bit more difficult if I actually use a weapon instead. I don't know. Hey, yo, give me this real quick. I'm taking your nuts off you. Past Champion Gundyr, we just have to take out a couple Black Knights so we can make it to Firelink Shrine. And behind a hidden wall, there are the eyes of the Firekeeper, which we're going to need for the ending we want. And the Handmaiden's still here since she got here before everyone else. And the cool thing is she's selling Artorias' set, and I want that bad boy. Yo, I got his seed. Yo, Johnny, man. And over here is a coiled sword fragment, which pretty much acts as a homeward bone that you can use as many times as you want. In the Grand Archives, I'm given a wax facial. That doesn't look right. But it immobilizes me, not allowing me to dodge, and I just end up dying. And out of the wall pops out some arms that'll do curse buildup and do slight amount of damage. And I can see from a mile away, this dude wanted to wax me to keep me in the arm's reach and either build a lot of damage or build a lot of curse. The Crystal Sage is up here, but we gotta kill the others around her so they can't stop us. And after we get there, she just teleports away. A bunch of these things come out the ground, bro. I'm not into lewd hand holding. I'm not like that. But we finally reach the Crystal Sage for the final time, and she doesn't respawn, so we won't have to worry about her in the Grand Archives anymore. We unlock a shortcut behind a bookshelf right at the beginning, and I went through a bunch of threats in these archives, but these 2 dudes are the ones that actually put me in. We make it outside to the roofs, and alright, you were kind of slick with it. Bro can't handle the lightning though. Okay, nah, I'm good. Bro sent out double the men to get the job done right.
You either come in the sink, or you sink in the calm.
Okay, but for real, the wax keeps the cursed hands away from touching us. There's about 3 enemies here guarding the stairs, and the worst thing is, I tried to lure them out one at a time, but if you damage one of them, they all start coming after you. I'm legit mostly just a melee build with weapon buffs that scale off of faith. None of them are really a problem. After we take out the main guy, the other ones don't really have a chance to shoot at me. And this sorcery chick surprises me by parrying us, but she doesn't capitalize on it. She just sets up another spell that doesn't, okay, it hit us. Up here is a pretty good shortcut. I'm not gonna lie to you, I mostly just ran past all these enemies with a bunch of knights right on my ass as I'm opening the door with invincibility frames. And I was frightened, so I run right on in to the Lothric Prince's fight.
Oh dear. Another dogged contender. Welcome, unkindled one, purloiner of cinders. Mind you, the mantle of Lord interests me none. The fire-linking curse, the legacy of lords, let it all fade into nothing. We've done quite enough. Now have your rest.
I already know about his teleporting gimmick because of the internet, but the timing definitely still gets us because I'm not used to how much delay there is on the attack after he teleports. Not only that, it's not always safe to heal because he can just teleport again. But I'm not gonna lie to you, his attacks are actually becoming pretty easy to dodge. Not saying I don't get hit, but I actually think they're pretty well telegraphed. And if you get hit, you still need to memorize them a bit, or you're just not patient, especially because of his teleporting. But look at this, bro. I'm so clean dodging these things. I'm like a sponge cleaning grease off of plates. And first attempt, we got him down to second stage with 5 Estus left. I don't think that's too bad.
Dear brother, I'm on my way. My brother, unyielding sword of Lothric's prince. Rise if you would, for that is our curse.
I thought because there was a ton of magic this would be harder to dodge, but just time it correctly and then just keep on pressing dodge and you'll be fine. These things won't hit you. I tried the scythe to see if it hit the younger prince on his back from the front, but it doesn't, and we do have a pretty close call right here. But once I applied Lightning Blade, the tables turned. He's too fast and moves out of the way for normal miracles, so this is perfect. Not only that, I start getting better at dodging behind the Elder Prince so we can start attacking the dude on his back to get the double hits. And after knocking down the Elder, we just cleave through the younger prince's HP. Look at how fast this thing goes down. We are down to 0 Estus, but you just gotta be patient. He pretty much has the same moveset as phase 1, which we did pretty well. Yo! No! Bro! The lightning blade came in clutch! Oh my god! Cinder's... But there we go. We one attempted the Lothric Princes, and we have the last Lord Soul to get to the Lords of Cinder. But before we do that, we gotta do the Path of the Dragon emote over here so that we can take on Archdragon Peak before we finish this game. And now we're teleported all the way to Archdragon Peak. What brought me here? My dude was asleep. And up here we acquire the Lightning Clutch Ring. This ring will increase your lightning damage by 15%, but reduce your physical damage by 10%. To be honest, I don't really see any reason in using this ring, unless you just want to increase your damage output even further. I already have both Morn's Ring and the Ring of the Firstborn, which combined can do another 32% to all miracle damage, and with no downside of decreasing my damage absorption, but this ring also works on melee attacks. We go into the Ancient Wyverns arena. That was not a lot of damage. To finish the fight, we have to do a plunging attack, but there's a bunch of enemies blocking our way, also making us prime and ready to get hit with the fire. First attempt, this boss is really easy. You're not really fighting a boss. We just have to make it over to just jump on top of them and do a one-shot. I died to Ancient Wyvern. Do you know how embarrassing that is? You probably know how embarrassing that is. It's confirmed. For me, Ancient Wyvern is harder than the Lothric Princes. And I also get ambushed, so I die twice. I walk a bit just so I know I'm actually aiming at the head this time. This boss took 3 attempts. 3 attempts on God. Difficult bosses, I have no problem with. These dudes, I guess they're an issue. But after beating the Wyvern, we get a cutscene to teleport us away. We're in a whole different area with a new bonfire. Also, I don't really use it for most of the run, but I do upgrade a battle axe to lightning to see how effective it is on the times I have used it. And I'm gonna say I farmed for hours trying to get sunlight medals, and I got 0. Then I farmed for another 30 minutes and I got 6. I eventually just decided to get summoned a bunch of times for the Lothric fight, and I got pretty good at it. Honestly, it was mostly other people dying that ruined my attempt, but we got Great Lightning Spear. There's not really much to say about this one, it's just Lightning Spear, but I think it offers a bit more value when it comes to damage per FP ratio, I think. But when I want a ranged miracle that does lightning damage, I usually prefer to go after this one. And it was kind of a pain to actually get these things, but they were reliable in the way that I could get them because I was just getting summoned for it. I tested on these enemies, but I don't think it was a great one because they're resistant to lightning. Oh yeah, that was a better test. These serpents are at least weak to lightning, and I hit both of them with that second hit. That was juicy. We have a couple rock crystal lizards, and it annoys me so much when they hit me, but kicking these bad boys is so goddamn cute. I think another dragon breathes on our past, but I just decide to book it. I have a bit of invincibility, but I can just tank all these hits. I have enough HP for it. And this dude has Rykard's rapier, and it's actually very easy to dodge it. Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. And for the next boss, we gotta activate this lever over here. I accidentally summoned someone and I forgot the black separation crystal exists, so I die to make him go away. We also get the Dragon Chaser ashes so we can now buy Titanite chunks. Yo, Havel, my guy, is that you? Can you tank all these Dory's Gnawings though? Okay, he took 3 of them, and I can only tank 2 of these. But let's be honest, he did not make it any difficult to just sit back and launch these at him. Once we get to a boss, it's going to be a little bit more difficult since they're not just going to be slow walking at us. But he also uses what I assume is like Stone Flesh, which reduces his movement speed even more. Like, he pretty much openly invited me to just come in here, use Dory's Gnawing, and open him a new ass. And right here is where I decide to max my faith out at least 50 for the rest of the run. Because of how many Lothric Knights I killed to get the Sunlight Medals, I actually have a lot of Embers to use before this fight. I have 99 here, and I have like 13 more in the back. But it's time to finally go after the Nameless King, the Lightning God. I was told he was weaker to Dark, so I decided to bring Darkblade instead of Lightning for this altercation. Even Dory's Gnawing is doing a good amount to the dragon itself. I definitely get caught lacking, especially with this Fire Breath attack. But this sword has a time to shine, ironically, with the Darkblade as soon as the head's down. And even during my first time fighting, I think I'm doing pretty good with some of the dodges. I'm looking back and I actually dodged this attack. I don't think I ever dodged it again. And I didn't expect this fire attack to be so quick. Usually when I see those, I expect them to have a little bit more time to react. But we are able to riposte them when they only have like 5% remaining. But we take those dubs. To me, this fight is an extravagant event. To Nameless King, it was Tuesday. Dude is so good at roll catching me, it didn't even matter that I had Tears of Denial on, and we died very quickly into the second phase. Don't worry, we were able to retrieve the 44 souls we had during the fight. Second time's the charm, baby! I still haven't fully learned my lesson with how greedy I am and how I don't fully know the timings, but once I calmed down, even though I was near death, I was still able to dodge this next attack. And with this one, he pulled out 2 new attacks by bonking me down there, with that having another AoE it sends out, and then hitting me from the skies as I try to apply Darkblade. Yup, that's another down right there. And in true Dark Souls fashion, after I die to the second phase, I have more difficulty with the first one. I was brought down to 1 HP, and then when I saw him preparing to do that lightning smash attack, I knew it was over. Is it really just gonna slow walk over here? You know what, thanks G, I actually really needed this help. Look at how much damage we're actually doing with that. The range is the way to go. Oh, obviously if you stay at longer ranges, I'm guessing he's gonna do more long range attacks, so I stay medium range, so he won't be always hurling himself at us. And even when he does, I am starting to recognize the roll catches, so we're getting better with that to get back to our medium range. I'm shocked I had enough time to cast this and roll out the way. In the last attempt, he does bring me down to 0 HP, but it really didn't matter. We were able to go back and heal up because we had a ton of flasks from just hitting him with Dory's Gnawing and staying at a safe distance. Check this one out. No way, no way. Oh my god, Dory's Gnawing is goated. So this fight only took me around 5 attempts, which is kind of crazy since I know a lot of people spend so much time fighting him. and we can trade his soul in for Lightning Storm. This thing is like an absolute nuke at anyone right on top of you, and it also deals an AoE right after it. I think it can deal some of the most lightning damage for its FP cost, but the range is like right at your feet, I think. If you're willing to trade, this thing is going to blast through any big enemies, and even if you don't have any real big enemies, you can also hit a bunch of smaller enemies with that AoE right after it. Before this, we give the Firekeeper her eyes.
Ashen One, are these eyes? How gracious of thee, Ashen One. The very things we Firekeepers have been missing.
And I think it's time that we finish this.
Noble Lords of Cinder, the fire fades. And the lords go without thrones. Surrender your fires to the true heir. Let him grant death to the old gods of Lordran, deliverers of the first flame.
And we are teleported right back to the kiln of the first flame. It's like a bunch of jumbled up kingdoms, and I think it looks so stunning. And I might be wrong, but is the final boss arena above or on a huge tree? But we make it inside so we can fight the soul of Cinder. At the beginning, we get a nice lightning storm right on top of this man. And with just a few casts, we really whittled down his HP by a good amount. And mid-fight, he just decides to change his build. Bro, this ain't how viable is intelligence yet. And I gotta say, these magic orbs really annoyed the fuck out of me. And he also takes the Pyromancer route and decides to use Power Within on himself. I also made a pretty bad move by just tanking 2 attacks with light to get Lightning Storm off. He hits me with a grab attack, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought it would have been just a bit more punishing. But on our first attempt, we actually managed to get this man down to phase 2. But ultimately he gets us with the combo grab. For the next attempt, I decided to bring Great Lightning Spear. For a good chunk, we just decided to get most of our damage with melee. This dude's also running his Faith Viable in Dark Souls 3 build as well! On the second attempt, we actually managed to get out of that combo so we can reapply our Lightning Blade. I just kicked that dude in the nuts. He brings back a little bit of Gwyn on all this. And sometimes we just have a good amount of range to just hit him with lightning spears when we don't want to go in. But this one attack surprised the hell out of me. I wish they gave it to us. What was that? Like, some of these attacks just give us so much time to get some lightning spears in. And he does his combo for the last time and we kill him with range. And there we go, we beat the Soul of Cinder in 2 attempts. I gotta say, I absolutely love how he like changes builds mid-fight. Not the hardest boss, but definitely a very memorable one. But for the sake of this world, we gotta snuff out this flame.
the first flame quickly fades. Darkness will shortly settle. But one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness. Like embers linked by Lord's path. Ashen One, hearest thou my voice still?
We still have the DLC to do, so we go back and use the Soul of the Lords to get Sunlight Spear. This is the strongest lightning spear type attack, and even though it's ranged, do not use it ranged. Always try to get that extra melee damage strike when you can. If you ever needed like an instant kill switch button though, this is the one you want to use. Definitely out damaging Lightning Stake up close. Again, I'm not good with that range, and using it at range is just too much FP, so I really haven't used it, and I feel like that's a sin on my part. But look at how good looking this thing is though. Look at that nice orange. But now we gotta take on the first DLC, the Painted War of Ariandel, and this dude hurls a nice 3-pointer. I don't play basketball, is that right? Because some of them are holding shields, I can't actually slice through all of them unless I want recoil. Past them though, we find some ice moss clumps. Okay, I've seen some enemies like this in the actual game, but they're alive now, and they only know how to hurl like 1,000 fire orbs. I mean, you know, it's not much. We test out Sunlight Spear on this dog. Okay, it does damage, good to know. And their mama was not too happy to learn that we use one of their babies as target practice. Also, I don't know what happened here, but I definitely didn't deplete their whole bar. I think I only got it to half, and then they die. This is the only way I'm gonna have a woman hug me. Yes, let's go! Bro is trying to be an Orlando archer so bad. I was gonna say we're invaded, but do you see how much damage this one dude is just doing to us? That shit was personal. What did I do to you? Great! The panic rolls, they really work. We almost get ambushed, and almost is the right word. You're kidding me. But in this ambush, that big dog appears again. I'm so sorry, my guy. The developer shouldn't have made it this easy to cheese you. And again, they die at around half health. I don't know what's going on with this type of enemy. We also get Frozen Weapon. We can't use it since it's a sorcery, so why am I saying it? I just like Frozen Weapon or elements in games, so I hope to revisit it in the future. Before I head into the church, I actually decided to go to this village down here, and we come across an enemy that I swear, if it was a player, he would have been rocking the Pontiff right eye. Goodbye. Someone tarred and feathered this man. Actually, no, wait, they did the opposite.
Oh, well. There is nothing forlorn about you. You must be the other Ash, I suppose. Make the tales true, and burn this world away. My lady must see flame, and you have only to show her.
We go back to the church and hear some succulent voice acting.
What's keeping you? Go on, right inside. Show respect, and let Lady Friede speak to you.
These walls are like shields in Elden Ring, right? We also encounter Sister Friede, who can tell us what's been going on here.
Welcome to the painted world of Ariandel. I am Friede. I have long stood beside our Blessed Father and the rest of the forlorn. Return from whence thou camest. I presume it visible to thee? The bonfire here in this room. A meek and faded thing, but 'twill guide thee nonetheless.
She acting like an ex telling us to pack her shit and get out.
A remembrance of this cold world for the great Lord of Londor. May it help thee bear thy duty. Now, return from whence thou camest. Thou'st a place in that world, and that alone is cause to rejoice.
Dude is slaying his own ally, or maybe they're not allies, maybe that's why he's killing them. Overall, we kind of force him to walk back, and then we can just hurl more lightning spears at him. Yeah? What's up? Change your mind? Cool. Die. I know these two enemies are going to attack me very quick, so I'm hesitant to go down, and I should have been even more hesitant. And I guess I didn't learn the first time. There goes 30,000 souls. I decided to go in with Lightning Storm, so the other one would also get hit by the AoE, but he just decided to stay his distance. The one time I bring it, it's not even effective. But you know what? It did its job against these two enemies, and we also acquire the Way of White Corona. Now this thing pretty much acts as a miracle boomerang. It can go through multiple enemies, and as long as there's not a wall to stop it, it'll also come right back. You can make it effective by lining up enemies, so if you've played Call of Duty and the zombies mode, you know exactly what you're doing with this one. The assignment is clear, and it's cheap, but you kind of have to work to make this miracle work. Oh, also before I forget to mention, this thing does physical damage. Best voice actor back at it again.
I've seen your kind, time and time again. Every fleeing man must be caught. Every secret must be unearthed. Such is the conceit of the self-proclaimed seeker of truth. But in the end, you lack the stomach for the agony that you bring upon yourself.
So this dude has Vow of Silence. Luckily we have some resin that we can put on our sword, and from time to time as he's going towards me, I ready up my heavy thrust to time it just right. But the Vow of Silence ends, which is good for him because he poise casts a heal miracle to get him back up to like half. I didn't recognize this at first. I thought it was just a brand new miracle. But he meets his end when this doofus decides to try and block our attack.
Forgive me, my lady. I swore an oath. I have failed you, lady.
But we see they were hiding someone up here, the eventual new painter.
I believe. I feel the scent of ash upon thee. Thou art the one of whom Uncle Gael spoke. The one to show me flame.
And I decided to test my new miracle, and I can say it does work against at least these two and goes behind this dude with his shield. But also right this, I'm at a bit of an angle, so it doesn't hit the other guy because it goes up. And it takes about 3 casts to actually kill someone with this miracle, with it coming back, dealing its maximum damage. Not only that, there are a good amount of obstacles in my actual way, and sometimes I have to dodge away from the danger so it's not going to hit someone as it comes back. And don't even get me started on bigger enemies. Just use it for smaller dudes, unless there's a gun pointed to your head saying, hey yo, use the Way of White Corona. Then maybe, but even then, I was fine until some dude pulled out some earthquake attack. Oh, you're eating this so well. Who said it was fine to have this miracle? We also find the Earth Seeker, which does have faith scaling, but it's mostly a strength weapon. And with our other Titanite slab, we decided to upgrade Wolnir's all the way up to +5. This one bug thought he was the main character, straight up dodged my attack to just allow his buddy to eat it. I swear I just hate bugs and like bug eyes. Those hexagons. We ignore that message, we discovered that hidden path. There's a lot of flies down here, but luckily I just lure them out one at a time with some throwables. And we activate this contraption to open the basement in Ariandel's church.
as ashes will be, ever seeking fire.
I'm properly informed there's another hidden wall. As we go through it, there's a bunch of routes that we have to fall through to get to the bottom. You would not catch me doing this on a Wednesday. But once we reach the very bottom, we're invaded by a pyromancer. This dude's a bit annoying by casting flame orbs that'll shoot at us from a distance, and he trying to relive the good old days when Firestorm was good in Demon Souls. Also, this dude must be fat. He just be eating my Dory's nines. I thought maybe I was supposed to fall down there and survive. We didn't survive. We make it to Father Ariandel. Oh, and we gotta initiate the fight with Friede.
Bring Friede to me, please. Canst thou not see the flame flickering once again? Soon will it surge. I can see it, feel it.
Fret not, Father. We have no need of thy flail. 'Tis only the flame quivering at misguided ash. Please avert thine eyes. I will snuff out these ashes for good.
I decided I wanted to do a bit more damage in this fight, so I wanted to bring Wolnirs for that. And during these first few seconds, her record was squeaky clean. I didn't get a single hit on her with her dodging it and almost killing me in retaliation. And this is my first time actually having her go invisible on me, allowing her to grab me, take out my tears, and there's my first death. Never even touched her. Second attempt technically goes better because I actually damaged her. Oh hey, lightning stake does some damage. And again, I do not know yet that you can kind of hear where she's going, and also based on the direction the dust flows when she moves. I'm telling you, when a boss dodges, that's the most annoying thing for me. After death number 2, I decided I wanted to try and cheese this by bringing Dory's 9. I'm sorry. Even when I'm behind her, some of her attacks can reach that far. Her ass is not unguarded. She's so strong, Dory's 9 was not enough for me to clutch it out. I feel like that's the measurement for me. And on the next attempt, ironically, I discover that you can find her in the middle of her attack. And there we go. Now we're going into phase 2. now my man is up in the battlefield. And I pretty much just stood here waiting for this to happen. She also might need to give me a caution sign when she does that attack, I guess. And I'm going to tell you right now, phase 2 was easy. I just unloaded all of my FP into Ariandel since they share the same health bar and he's a bigger target. You still kind of have to keep an eye on Friede because she'll occasionally do long range attacks and heal him, which was a bit of an issue, but it never really stopped. And we took them both out. And I already did know about the phase 3 before the fight even started because of online. So it wasn't really a surprise to me. But I didn't remember any of the movesets. So it also kind of was a surprise to me when she whooped my ass. Dude, that's like 80%! But we learned two things. One, I can still backstab her, and two, emit force will still knock her down. She can still dodge it, but if I hit her, I have a good amount of time to heal, or get to her close, or do about like anything. I have a good like second and a half. Oh! You tried it! Uh-oh, I tried it! I do die, but I almost got her to about half, so I don't think that's bad. I'll let you hear a little bit of my rage, though. Oh my god! Honestly, a lot of the times I died in phase 2 is because I was getting greedy trying to hit her with emit force as she did these ground frost attacks. Like right here, I was on 1 HP. Why did I try to use it on her? I at least learned to do phase 1 a lot better. And I get better at hitting her even when she's dodging and move with her as she's going through the fight. And she returns the favor by putting me to sleep. And to this day, I don't know how to dodge that double swipe attack, but with enough persistence, we take out Sister Friede. Took us around 6 attempts, which is definitely more than some of the other bosses. And stage 3, I don't know how I got through that whole ordeal. But with her soul, you can transform it to the Rose of Ariandel. It is a whip weapon that also acts as a chime. It has bleed, but it's not that much. Its damage is mediocre, and its spell buff is also pretty mediocre, but its real strength is its skill. At the cost of some HP, you'll increase your miracle damage, and I can't find any accurate numbers, but they say around 20 or 25%. And it's for 2 minutes, so it's actually a long time. It's like having another ring of the Firstborn on you. If you don't mind giving yourself that BDSM time, this is actually going to make you deal much more damage. And with them gone, we can actually travel to the next DLC, to the Dredged Heap. But we still have some business in Ariandel, so we go down this ladder, and we have to parkour off some more roots. And we gotta take out are those 2 crabs? There's a bonfire nearby, so now we can enter this arena we were falling to our death to earlier. And we get into the middle of the fight, and I use the Rose of Ariandel's skill on purpose to dodge this hit. I swear to god, most people are dog lovers, but if you're into Souls games, that'll rid you of that love. He has like 3 wolves you have to deal with beforehand. Luckily, as the numbers whittle down, they're not really that much damage dealers. He does like to bob and weave though. But after getting the Gravetender to about, I think 30%, he summons his Great Wolf. I didn't want to face them close up because then it's just a 2v1, so I decided to use most of my time to hurl lightning spears at the Great Wolf first. And with these eyes, I'm guessing he becomes more aggressive throughout the fight. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was about to dodge this frost breath attack with the distance, but as I try to get up, he just goes after me. In the next attempt, we were actually to kill more wolves at a time right off the bat. Also, this dog likes to play peekaboo with me, it seems. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? And I don't know how I dodged this whole fury of hits, but we take out the Great Wolf with a lot of range, and now it's time to focus back to the Gravetender. Just like 3 more swipes and it's done. Took us about 2 attempts to kill this boss, and it was actually a little bit anticlimactic that this was the last one we faced to finish off this DLC, but it's time to head on to the Ringed City. But before that, we head up this very long ladder to collect a free Titanite slab that I don't think I really end up using. We make it to Dredged Heap, but I get summoned as a Blue Sentinel because I was trying to farm some Concord-proof kept or whatevers. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not good at multiplayer, so this really isn't my thing. I find it annoying to get these Covenant items through this route. And I'm not farming the 1% drop rate off the Knights for the Proof of Concord kept. And I'm sorry, but I'm definitely not getting the Dark Moonblade miracle for this playthrough. I was gonna say we land on this dude's head, but he doesn't have one. That was kind of cool. I know I'm Johnny Sins, but get off my... This attack freaks the fuck out of me. There's this enemy blocking our path, but the message told us to just take the plunge, so I end up doing that on the wrong platform. They like to shoot at you, but the game gives you a lot of cover to not even take any damage. And we also have another couple of knights that like to deal fierce amounts of damage. Okay, so these dudes are the ones that keep those biblically accurate angels up afloat, so as long as I kill them, they'll also go down. We also make it to Earth and Peak from Dark Souls 2, another angel that we just have to pass through a bunch of their attacks with a lot of the structures they left out here. Bro wanted a second poison swamp in his game. Not much happened here, we just go through the swamp. And then there's this pyromancer from DS2, and when we use force, it knocks her all the way down, but she doesn't take any fall damage, and she doesn't also get toxic either, so she's just stuck down there. In this one part, we really didn't have anything to keep us from getting shot, but there's a safe space where we can go and get our next bonfire, but we head on down to Firelink Shrine to kill some of the last remaining demons. I immediately decide that at least buffing up my weapon with lightning blade's a pretty good choice, and we still have to be cautious because the other one tries to hit us with some poison, I think. And there's two of them, but honestly I think their attacks are pretty manageable. Like, they're not that difficult to read, but it seems like some of them can run out of their fire and then they might be weaker after that. Like, this one isn't glowing at all, but even with both of them right next to each other, I'm going ham with this lightning blade. First we kill the demon from below, then shortly after we kill the demon in pain. But this man wants his revenge. If he dies, it's over for his race. He's got a lot of pressure on him right now. This dude has to clutch out the win. So he has this two-stage plan, which he summons orbs to start attacking us as he runs away, to then build a bigger orb, which I only noticed last second. I tried to gain some distance because I thought I could avoid it that way, but most of them have hit me, and then the prince comes in to just finish me off. My man had an off-screen death. I couldn't even see what happened. The second attempt, phase 1, was pretty much more of the same. And yes, we're going back to Dory's 9. I swear, I'm so sorry, but it's just so good, even against demons. And when he's doing his charging attack, you can actually disrupt him. I'm guessing if you deal enough damage, it'll still attack, it just won't be at its full force afterwards. He did the same charging attack, but I was not in the range to actually hit him. And I get closer, but I only have enough FP to hit him with 2 more Dory's 9, leaving him on pretty much 1 HP. So I decided to just run in there, even though after he's launched his attack, to kill him. And in the midst of all that fiery action, we took out the demon prince. Took us 2 attempts. I don't think that's bad at all. I thought I would have taken more since there was multiple enemies during that. Also, I'm lucky because my Chinese food arrived right after I beat him. So many things were going right for me. We go and get the small envoy banner that'll allow us to actually traverse to the ringed city itself. In here, we find a strange person to talk to.
Hark! They brought thee here, did they not? Dost thou the gods serve, or merely that role affect? Yes. Yes, of course. How wouldst one such as thee do service to the gods? I have intimate knowledge of thy kind. I know thy want. The dark soul, is it not?
My viewers were telling me I could find Midir as an Easter egg if I looked in the background. That's actually not the right location to find them, but there's a bunch of like projection archers that'll come here and you have to hide behind these to get through them. Just keep on going from safe spot to safe spot. I'm told to just look to my right and we find the location we have to fall to. Okay, that first one didn't count. We climb a ladder to get behind their defenses. This is the guy summoning those archers, but he doesn't decide to summon an archer. But again, he wasn't that big of a deal. Dude thought he was a boss. Also, this little bum underneath the bridge.
Many of us are by the fire, forsaken. I speak of thine kind and mine. Behold this city. We are kindred, but like two eyes which gaze upon the other. Fear not the dark, my friend, and let the feast begin.
I talked to him again, but I looked behind me so we could see Midir just peering at us. There are these enemies with crystals that'll build up curse as long as they're near you. Also, there's some people that resemble dark raves. I don't know if that's what they fully are, but they were kind of easy to deal with. I thought they would have been much more threatening. Also, some turtle clerics that'll try to damage you with their miracles, but once they get to a certain point, they can just shell under and take reduced damage. And if you try to attack them at that point, you won't kill them and they'll just damage you with their miracles. There's multiple of them and I couldn't even Dory's gnawing through any of their HP. I'm forced out because a night wraith is after me and the other turtles can still target me even if they're a floor above. And honestly, I just start booking it until there's too much trouble that I can run away from. Taking out the Dark Wraith is fine, but when I have multiple turtles targeting me, it's difficult. And this dude's like on 1 HP, and he still clutches it out. They were easy, I swear. You can just kick them and then start attacking them. They're not a threat afterwards. After dealing with that, I just decided to run past all the enemies in this area, which was a bad idea. We go into a swamp, and I pretty much did a whole 360 exploring most of the area here until we go back near the beginning and find a bonfire for us. This dude had ambitions of actually going fast. Yippee! And we meet this dude who has some more yapping for us.
One met the dark with learning, but in the end learned his knowledge was wanting. The world began without knowledge, and without knowledge will it end. Does not this ring clear and true? Fear not the dark, my friend, and let the feast begin.
Two dudes with spears versus Johnny Sins. Who do you think is gonna win? Bro, they double teamed me. Luckily, they're still vulnerable to the power of Emit Force. We also get the covetous gold serpent ring +3. That would have really helped with farming for the Covenant items. We go back and speak to this woman who's hiding behind a door, reminding me of what we did during Bloodborne.
Speak thee the name of God, thine own God, if thou canst recall. As I thought, such memories were lost by thy kind long ago. Give thy memory a nudge, and name thee thy God. Ah, then thou's not forgotten. Perhaps 'tis why we may converse. I am known as Shira, servant to the Princess Filianor, matriarch of the church. May I ask thee a kindness? Perhaps thou'st beheld the lone dragon that inhabited this city. Midir is his name, and the archdragons are his forebears. He once railed against the dark, but was by dark afflicted. Now here, returned, he remaineth, to watch over the sleeping princess, true to the old accord. And yet, I would have thee put the dragon to rest, before the dark consumeth him, and his vows are forgot. I offer my sincerest gratitude, thou who art ken to God's name.
And we further progress, and Midir decided, you know what, I'm gonna just let you have a sneak peek on what you're going through later. I'm pretty sure there's a different way to do this, but I just brute forced my way through the fire. I'm alive! I survive his second toast, and I make it to the end of the cave before we get overcooked. And we get invaded by Moaning Knight? I can respect him. His name is Moaning Knight, and he's carrying one of the biggest maces out there. And we reach the next bonfire, which I'm guessing is right next to where Midir likes to just casually chill. Okay, that's a long wind-up, though. Oh, no, it's not! I still think they're an obstacle at this point, so I have to go behind this rock, and I just decide to sprint past them. We go to a hidden wall with another one of these dudes. And after going through like 3 illusionary walls, we get the new miracle, Lightning Arrow. It's a nice, cheap lightning attack that you can hold indefinitely. And I think it's one of the most cost-efficient ways of using lightning ranged. It does more damage than Lightning Spear. The only negative is it doesn't do any close range damage. But honestly, that's fine. I have Lightning Stake for that. So as long as I run this, we're not going to be using that much FP and still getting a lot of range in our build now. We get a shortcut that launches us all the way back up that is just going to be helpful for fighting Midir. In the middle of this elevator, you have to get out, and eventually you'll make your way over to Midir's boss fight, but we can't fight him because we actually have to knock him off the bridge we saw him on earlier. And over here, we can also get the Chloranthy Ring +3. We're already running it, so we're just going to use a better version of it. We go back to fight Midir, and it's honestly just a pattern. We lightning stake the arm, and then when he decides to attack us close range, we back up and just use Lightning Arrow until we have to hide behind this boulder. He has like a phase 2 and he starts busting all over the arena, but it's still the same pattern. Go in and then go out. Whoa, whoa. And this one tantrum attack is perfect to get some lightning arrows off on him. I use my last bit of FP to lightning blade my sword, which staggers him, and we can get the riposte to get him off this bridge. Oh yeah, get off my platform. We find the Dragonslayer armor back down here. Bro, I already killed you. Leave. I had to kill this dude so many times to get a lot of sunlight medals. So I'm already good with fighting him. It's only slightly more difficult since there's another enemy with us, but not really by much. And we eventually claim this thing's soul once again. They'll never know, bro. They'll never know. For a ladder to come down, we have to go to the swamp and disguise ourselves, which will make us look like a humanity. You think we could beat the game this way? And then there we go. As soon as we roll up there, bam. There's another fee fi fo fum head ass up here. We take him out with ease thanks to Lightning Arrow. Up here is a purging monument, which will allow us to remove our curse and return Johnny back to looking like Johnny. Look at this man. We encounter a Lothric Knight who's just a strength build. Dude's a barbarian who loves to show us why strength is very valuable. Not really though, because we got him in this little hallway that we can just use emit force and knock him back continuously. Go in, stab him, and just another emit force. After simulating Groundhog Day for him, we just do it one more time and stab him and it's over. It was really that easy. We also get Havel's Ring +3, which is only like a 4% increase from the regular one. There's a Dark Wraith over here wielding 2 great swords at a time. My man is feeling himself. Like, this one attack is just so cool. And even with all that, I'm sorry, but with just emit force, we put him down. And we make it to the church for the new boss, Halflight.
Unknowing visitor, return from whence thou camest. The abyss runneth deep, by the king's decree. None may disturb our mistress's slumber.
I ignored that dude like he was the IRS, and when we enter the boss, I'm actually kind of confused on what even the objective is. And I start wailing at this dude because he has a health bar. Like, I swear I'm not racist against giants or anything. And he summoned some NPCs that I remember being in the Painted World. And then he actually spawns a boss, which is an online player. And again, I already said how much I hate online. I'm terrible at it. So this man absolutely cooked right here. When I go back in to fight the boss fight, we get Sadu again. With how good this dude was, I feel like he was getting paid like 30 bucks an hour to do this. My man was hired by Miyazaki to prevent people from entering into the last 2 bosses. And I'm sure that I have to kill these painted guardians first. That's what I aim to do. But there's just so many projectiles and I just end up getting my shit rocked. Sadu, if you see this, GG's my man. And I will tell you, in the video, I was raging. I was pissed. I was actually considering even going offline for this part. I was that traumatized, but we decided to keep it on. I don't know if Sadu decided to just log off to give me a chance, but we get Halflight during this fight, the actual NPC boss. Again, I dedicated myself to killing the painted guardians before taking him on, and he clears so much HP. And I didn't say it before, but the boss actually gets some projectiles above their head to shoot at me once in a while. I didn't notice that it wasn't a player, so I just assumed they were spamming their attacks and I could just wait until their FP bar drained. I eventually get suspicious and think it's an actual NPC, so I decide to check if I'm offline, but I still decided to leave it online. I was like, am I actually a that turned it offline? As soon as you get them down to like half HP, they get another painted guardian that we have to deal with. And Tears of Denial is great, it does save me here, but I still have to play carefully because those projectiles I say end my life. And I'm telling you, I was online. You can go check the VOD. We just got Halflight again. I think all the online players just got break. Again, the move is the same, go after the painting guardian, and they still do a lot of damage to me. And I'm surprised that when they use this heal miracle, it reaches Halflight. That was so much distance in my eyes. But since he's an NPC, you can cheese him. I just decided to wait for openings that I knew I could just go in, run, and get a quick swipe off on him. And at the end, one of my viewers is saying he's gonna log on to Dark Souls 3 so he can be my boss, just so he can make it easy for me. I lost that much faith. I put the game out just like, you kill me not. Damn, that was disrespectful. It took us 4 attempts to beat them, which is a little weird to say because I never beat Sadu. That was like the first person, the only other person that I actually faced during this fight. But you know what? We'll take any W we can get right now. We go on up the elevator, and again, this is just a beautiful view. We discover which I assume is Felinor and start the next cutscene. Pretty much at the end of time, and we see an old man crawling his way up to Felinor.
Felinor, help me, please. The Red Hood is come to eat us, to eat our dark souls.
I was told to just wait and see what happens when he actually gets up there.
Felinor, help me.
I spent like a few minutes just waiting for that. And we also see a Knight of Felinor using Lightning Arrow. Bro, you can't be using that. just for me. I don't know what this is, but it's big and heavy, and she's like a faith user because she also uses lightning arrow. We have another close call during our second attempt, but we eventually get that bag. I also decided to use like almost all of my souls to level up before we fight Midir. I wish the character moans when you pop the soul. I could put that in the video. Oh, I leveled up like twice individually, but we got 8 levels out of it. And after all that, it's finally time to face Midir, what some people say is one of the hardest bosses in here. Alright, first step of the plan, miss the headshot. I was using Wolnirs during the first part of this fight, one of my great swords, and I was a little disappointed at the damage. I was actually frightened. But after this little rampage, I decided to whip out lightning arrow to hit the head, since you're actually going to be doing more damage if you hit that part. Also, I know about his laser attack, but this was my first time actually facing it. And we use Sunlight Spear, and it does a good amount of damage, but for how much FP it costs, that is not cost efficient. 2 lightning arrows out damage it for only 30 FP. And you can see the reduction in damage when it's not hitting his head, and this dude notices it like I'm tickling and says, "Get the fuck on out of here." Honestly, there's a good amount of charge up attacks he has, and with enough distance we can still shoot some lightning arrows to get damage even halfway across the arena. Even able to hit him from under his coconuts. And mid-fight, I think this laser second attack has a certain range to it. And we got him down to second phase, which involves him using even more dark attacks. He has a little humanities to come after you and hit you, but what kills me is this fire breath attack, which I thought I had to dodge roll through, but what I learned is that you actually have to move all the way to the left of that attack. On the next attempt, we get a nice breath of fire, and I died a good amount of times. We're not going to be showing each single one until we get to the end, showing how many times I attempted it. Also, I think my brain just died here because I just plant myself right in front of his face as he does the laser attack. I don't know how I forgot that he was about to do that, and I'm gonna say this tail swipe activated so many neurons when I was playing Elden Ring. And then in his second phase, he decides to do his laser attack again, and I'm freaking the fuck out. This dude is shooting it in every single direction, and I just roll into the explosion of one of them. I also see during the charge you have to avoid him and his arm. I'm incredibly surprised this explosion doesn't hit us. I feel like it should have. And right now, I'm just gonna let play the last like minute of my fight with Midir. Is that it? Oh, that's how you do it, boys! Oh my god. Oh, I'm never doing that again. Okay, I thought it was like 7 or 8 attempts, but my memory is wrong, because when I look back at the footage, we killed Midir in 4 attempts. I think because it's a long boss fight because of their health, I just assumed I attempted it more times than I did. I'm incredibly shocked how few attempts it actually took, but he still did feel like one of the most difficult bosses in the game. And with Midir now gone, I just decided to use our last remaining souls to upgrade our endurance for that extra stamina. And before we go into Gael's arena, I just decided I would be bringing a lightning build, and we go on over and we have to face the final boss of the trilogy.
What? Still here? Hand it over, that thing, your dark soul. For my lady's painting.
So for this fight, I decided to bring Astora's Greatsword, so Layer's helping us out during the final fight, and we also get a Sacred Oath just in front of this man. He just allowed it. Thanks, man. He's quick, but a lot of attacks leave him open for a lightning arrow. I also see how much range that diving attack really has, so we have to dodge it. And I thought this was like a buff up attack, but it's him doing a rampage, because I thought I could get a lightning arrow off on him. And I should have known, but Emit Force ain't gonna be knocking him down anytime soon. But honestly, we were straight cooking during our first attempt, and we got him down to phase 2.
Is this the blood? The blood of the dark soul.
This man is using the Way of Light Corona better than I ever could. He's also got the machine gun crossbow, and whenever he attacks, he's attacking twice with that little cape he has. Even though he launches 5 Way of Lights at you, you just gotta mind them really coming back. And also just a bunch of lightning arrow opportunities. Oh, he lost me for a second. And once you get him down to like 40% HP, he enters phase 3. My man said, "F a cutscene. We running the ones now." And he also has the weather attacking us. If we're in the wrong position, the lightning will strike us. And honestly, I'll go down dying saying this is one of the coolest combos I've seen on a boss. On our first attempt, we did run out of all of our heals during his 3rd phase, so we end up going down. I bring back Tears of Denial, and I'm rocking Lightning Blade at the beginning of the fight so that we can shred through it quicker. And I didn't know my man could just teleport. I didn't know he was chill like that. When he transitions to phase 3, we have a really good opportunity to reapply our Lightning Blade. But during my 2nd attempt, I just got a little bit too cocky. We get him back down to phase 3, and even his attacks are so cinematic. And if you guys want to watch, I'm going to leave the last minute of the final fight in this trilogy here unedited. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I don't even need souls anymore. I don't even need souls. Oh my god. I was gonna put on the ring, but who cares? We're done. We're done. We beat the final boss necessary to complete this entire trilogy, and it took us 3 attempts. Dark Souls 3. That's foreshadowing, baby. And I was asked to remember y'all that were in the live stream, they're watching it happen. So y'all that witnessed this, I'll name y'all. It was Pro Bro Bosnian, Sugoi, the Red Cinder, Red Emptian, Zopli, and my boy Kyle. I'm pretty sure he was in there. Those are the people I can see whose names are in chat, but if anyone was lurking, thank you so much for joining us in the last fight. I really appreciated it. And to finish this off, we have to give the blood of the Dark Soul to the painter in Ariandel.
My thanks, Ashen One. With this will I paint a world. Please tell me thy name. I would name this painting after thee.
The painting's gonna be called Johnny Sins.
My thanks. I will paint a world of that name. It will be a cold, dark, and very gentle place. And one day, it will make someone a goodly home.
Johnny Sins world.
I wonder when Uncle Gael intends his return.
I'm so sorry.
I hope the new painting will be to him a gentle home.
He wanted this. There we go. We finished the entire trilogy with Johnny Sins. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I put a lot of work into making this. And to answer the question, again, we're going to start from the beginning. It wasn't that great. We only got the ability of Lightning Spear as we were about to fight Abyss Watchers. And I'm going to say, I never felt like miracles were overpowered. Yes, they did eventually get much better after the Abyss Watchers, but I never felt like I had like a kill all button, which honestly is good. That's good for balance. Not only that, the change to FP instead made me not want to always use some of the strongest miracles like Sunlight Spear, since they would just eat away through all of it. But also, miracles in this game are much faster, so I can definitely use them in boss fights. In DS1, I thought they were way too slow. Overall, I think it was more powerful in DS2, where in that game, if you raise attunement, you also increased your casting speed and didn't have to diverge into going to dexterity for that. And we had like Heavenly Thunder to deal with huge enemies, and also faster Wrath of the Gods in previous games. I personally don't think it's as strong as the previous games, but I think that's because they made it way more balanced, not just like straight up worse. But I think there was also a wide variety of miracles in this game. I loved its other weapon buffs like Blessed Weapon and Dark Blade, and I felt like I had a good amount of options when it came to weapons, like Wolnir's Great Sword and the Sunlight Straight Sword. So yeah, that's my opinion on Faith. We still have a couple of games to get through, and right now I actually have a poll going on between if people want me to play Bloodborne or Elden Ring next. And it's the choice between Blood Tinge in Bloodborne or Faith in Elden Ring. I'm going to be playing the winner of that poll tomorrow, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come and join us. And currently, as you're watching this, Bloodborne has the lead. Go over to that poll in my community tab and go throw your vote in. Again, I put a lot of work into this, so I'd appreciate it if you guys like and subscribe. I know so many people do that, but it really does help me out. And for anyone out there that needs to hear this, I hope you're doing fine. I don't know what situation you might be going through right now, but I promise you that there is light at the end of it. I don't know if you're in a very big hole right now, but you can get yourself out of it. I've actually been stuck in a hole very recently until I decided now to also go back to school and try to at least change my life. That feeling, that fight for self-improvement, to feel better today than you were yesterday, is a much better feeling than just spending the day doing nothing. Even though every day everybody has to keep up that fight, that doesn't mean you don't matter. I love and appreciate every single one of y'all. So please, don't you dare go hollow. And I think I'll let Grey Rat end it for us this time.
I consider myself your friend. Goodbye, and stay safe.